Hey now! So a PSA Sitch here with a super special Wednesday stream.
Yeah, what's
Oh
going
my
on?
God. Look at that.
What's happening here?
With everyone's favorite chat GPT made into a real person, Adam Friended.
Oh, wow. Is that a dig? Is that like a Ramaswamy dig you did on me? Who did that?
Yes,
Who did the
yes.
Ramas? Oh, it was Chris
It was
Christie.
Christy. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
we'll talk about that. Well, you want to be a robot, so I figured it made the most sense.
Yeah, it does logically, but I mean, obviously, I would have done some laser vision on that motherfucker and actually dealt with his weight issue by cutting off a couple
Wow.
arms and legs.
Wow. Okay, we'll get it. We'll talk about
Look at
that.
that. I'm channeling my inner Ramaswamy.
Oh no, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about okay. So I guess here the way we'll talk about this. Should we give our overall impressions and then we'll go through it piece by piece? Does that make
If,
sense?
sure, if you want to do that.
Okay.
I was telling Sitch before this began, I feel like I was taking way too detailed notes and kind of
Hmm.
overlooking
The
the
broader perspective.
broad strokes of it. I did obviously there at the very beginning, like Christy boos were noticeable to me. I did one of the things that I did notice because I was going through and trying to look at where people were really appealing to moral intuition. So I was kind of
Yeah.
looking for where are my moral intuitions firing off here,
Hmm.
and I was noticing the moral richness of a Republican debate just seems so much stronger than a Democratic debate. I feel like the Democrats often do not hit on the moral intuitions as much as Republicans do, and I felt like that
Hmm.
was really just really an interesting dynamic. It seemed like everybody was dragging in, obviously, liberty when they're talking about states issues. Obviously, a lot of care for the vulnerable when you're talking about abortion, a lot of care for the vulnerable when they kept bringing up the fentanyl stuff. Oh, these are
Hmm.
American, like tearjerker type stuff, right? Even in the Ukraine situation, I think Christie said, I went to Ukraine and I saw this. And he starts talking about, the rapes and the murders and stuff.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
all just care, care, care. What you always think of Republicans is lacking any sort of compassion whatsoever. But you can't watch this debate and think, oh well, that they're not hitting those caring for the vulnerable buttons. They totally are. So I think that was super interesting to me, and I was noticing a lot more. Yeah, probably because the people we're doing exchanges with in recent days are, obviously pumping this Republican stereotype. So that's why I was more aware of it. So
Hmm.
a lot of that stuff
Interesting.
was going on. Obviously, there was some interesting exchanges between Ramaswamy and Pence and Haley, and we'll talk about that more around Ukraine and around January 6th. And my big takeaway from that was nobody's punching DeSantis. like DeSantis is in first place here, and everyone is just kind of like attacking each other. And DeSantis is kind of keeping his hands clean there.
You're right. I didn't even notice that. DeSantis
Yeah.
totally did like the cartoon, like step into the background
yeah.
slowly.
He
Homer like going into the bush as like everyone beats the crap out of Vivek. You know.
right. I was
Yeah.
like, what are you guys doing? Fighting for third place here? Like the guy in the middle of the stage is the one you're supposed to be attacking. So I do think Ramaswamy, and even I don't know if you listen to the commentators in between, but even one of the commentators said it and I was thinking it and I was like, oh, that's not good. It's not good when me, like a middle-aged man and older woman, are thinking the same thing about a candidate. It was that frat boy type mentality that Ramaswamy had that I don't know how that plays.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it was definitely, like, for me it was a bad thing, and for her it was a bad thing. But I don't know if that helps him in the long run. Obviously, I
It's
have some
interesting.
humility in my own feelings.
Right. I don't, to me, he doesn't really have frat boy energy. Like the way, like when you say frat boy energy, I think of someone like Hassan, who's like an idiot, who just seems like a dude, bro. Like so. I don't
There was
sense
some
that.
dude bro going on.
I
There
didn't. I
was
did not
definitely some
feel.
dude bro going on.
I felt more like not like a frat boy energy, more like young Silicon Valley entrepreneur energy, which may
Okay.
be sort of like where the crossover lies. I mean, I think the fact that he is so young will hurt or looks so young.
Well,
Because I
that
think he's
came
like
up
what,
too. Yeah.
39, I think, he's like, yeah, I
Yeah.
think he's
He
like
said he's
39.
born in 1985, so I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
So I do think that will definitely hurt him a lot. I mean, first of all, none of these people have a chance, in my opinion, unless Trump gets arrested or drops out or something. Anyway, um, so it doesn't matter. But it's very interesting. What you point out was very fascinating about how no one is punching DeSantis. They're all going after Vivek. And I think there's
Yeah.
two reasons for this. The first is so in the beginning of the debate, Vivek did extremely well. In his opening statement, he killed it. In his first couple of responses, he killed it. He came out super high energy, super charismatic. He made everyone else look like they were just kind of like automaton politicians giving like politician answers. But he made this huge misstep where he very early in the debate said that everyone else on the stage but him is bought and paid for.
Well, that did not
Okay.
go over well.
Yeah. So he immediately like just he just took out like a bag of like dog poop and just threw it at every other person on stage for no reason. And then for the rest of the debate, he has this massive target on his back because of that.
Right.
But then I think he also had a massive target on his back because just and this is kind of what's interesting to me. I think intuitively they all knew on stage this is like the person to beat because he was the most energetic right out of the gate. Because he is, I mean, he's definitely running as I am Trump Jr. If Trump cannot, win or drops out, I will be the most Trump-like candidate. He definitely was kind of channeling that a Washington outsider. I'm going to kick over the table. He was literally saying that he's going to bring revolution, right?
I
Like all the other
know.
candidates are kind of like talking about like
Incrementalism is out the door.
yeah, like all the other candidates are like literally talking about, kind of being more conservative. And he's like, no, screw your conservativeness. The revolution is coming. There's a very interesting part in the debate where Pence cites Ronald Reagan as like steady the course, kind of going back, hearkening to like traditional conservatism. And then Vivek later cites Ronald Reagan as like the revolution to like change to bring in the country. So this is very fascinating.
Wow.
Um,
I didn't pick up on that contradiction, but you're right.
Yeah, but it's interesting, and we'll talk about when we get into the specifics. I think Vivek definitely, he has a very strong start. I think in the second half, he totally tripped over his own shoelaces and got beat up by everyone else, especially when it came to foreign policy. And I'm not just saying that because I personally disagree with his foreign policy stance very strongly, but I think he gave very weak answers in that part of the debate. But going back to what you said in the beginning, when you talked about like kind of the richness of the moral foundations on display, I don't know if I would say it's like richness compared to a democratic debate as opposed to variety. There's a more variety of the different moral foundations that every individual person is going to be triggering. Um, I think in these debates, a lot of like when people front load their answers with a lot of policy prescriptions, I think that's always a huge mistake in these debates. At least that's how it reads to me. Because
Policy
it's
prescriptions because they're just flat.
Well, yeah, it's flat. It's kind of like, oh, I don't know what any of this stuff means. Like, you can kind of like throw out something like really quick, like a cup, something that can fit in like a short sentence and say like, I'm gonna do X, I'm gonna do Y, blah 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 blah, and that's about it. But when the people would go into like these very specific things with the policy prescriptions, it's like, who does anyone know or care what they're talking about? Um, Overall, so I said Vivek. I definitely think he's running as Trump Jr. I think DeSantis was running as he's trying to run as like half Trump Jr. and half of your classic conservative. In that
Who's that?
DeSantis,
DeSantis. Okay.
he's trying to have like one foot in each
Right. You're
slot
right.
here.
He is kind of doing
Um,
that.
yeah, and it's interesting. Like he did better than I expected charisma wise. Like he wasn't quite at he succeeded. He wasn't at wet cardboard level of charisma. Um,
Look, I kept thinking Robot Ron the whole time. I'm like, why isn't anyone nicknamed him Robot Ron?
that's a great one. That's so perfect, Robot Ron. You just did it right there.
Even
But
even in the end, I mean, he's just like,
yes,
oh my god. I'm like, this
his
guy
closing
looks like an
statement was bad. Yeah.
animatronic fucking
Well, it's funny.
wax figure.
Did you notice what his strategy was for trying to have charisma?
No, what was it?
His strategy is to be angry.
Oh, okay.
And it like sort of like that was his strategy. Like if you go back and you listen, it's just him like kind of like yelling and saying, "This is what we need to do. Joe Biden bad, me good. Florida, I did good thing in Florida." Like that's his strategy to kind of seem like he has a personality, and it like kind of works a little
None of
bit.
it seemed authentic to me, man.
I know, I
None
agree
of
with
it.
you. I'm saying like okay, I'm comparing where he was to where he is. Okay,
Okay,
so
so we're grading
there's
on the curve
improvement,
now.
right? There's improvement. Like overall, it's still bad. He's still Robot Ron. Don't get me wrong. Like
Yeah.
it's he's not quite into the realm of humanity yet. Okay,
I
he
just
still has some bugs to work out.
it's such a I think, obviously Ramaswamy has gone into all these contentious podcasts and whatnot. Robot Ron could have done better, I think, if he would have done that sort of thing, just to kind of get
Mhm.
more human interaction, more learning, more
He needs more machine learning. His
more
model needs to be trained a little
exactly
better.
more machine learning with actual people. I think could have helped Robot Ron, you know, dial in a better performance here.
Well, it's funny
So
because Chris Christie called Vivek ChatGPT, which
right,
obviously that should have been levied at DeSantis.
yes, yeah,
I didn't even really understand what Chris Christie meant by throwing that at Vivek, because he
yeah. I
didn't
didn't
seem to
either.
me like he was having very. I mean, he was having. I guess you could say he had kind of like maybe canned rhetorical answers, but I don't know, just did not come off as very robot-y to me. So that insult, I don't know, I didn't really understand what he was going for there. But going back to DeSantis for a second, I think I mean, assuming obviously everything changes every debate or whatever, but like if this debate actually has any impact on anyone's opinions or the polling, I think you're gonna have Vivek and DeSantis have a huge bump from this, and they're gonna be kind of, or like relative huge bump, because obviously I think Trump's still gonna be way ahead. They're gonna be kind of the two of them are gonna be running as like the Trump alternatives, and in case the king is taken out, right? Then you're gonna have the two spares kind of battling it out between the two of
Right,
them.
right.
Um, so Pence was very interesting. Um, Pence did way better than I thought he would do. I thought Pence was going to be like I'm going to fall asleep. I'm going to, every time he opens his mouth, people are just going to die out of boredom. But it's very interesting. Pence is the best, in my opinion, he's like Coke Classic. Okay. He's like the best at kind of getting that classic Republican politician energy, that old 1980s, 1990s George W. Bush,
Right.
compassionate conservative, still war hawk, classic, he was saying God like every fucking 2 seconds
Oh,
in
I
his
know.
answers.
I
He's
know.
literally talking about like, I took an oath to God in the Bible, and that's why I told Trump to fuck off, and didn't throw out the electors. Though
Oh, that part was so amazing.
he had a really actually good way to frame it. He'd obviously workshopped this where he said, he didn't have the right to throw out the slate so that Trump could be president, just as Kamala Harris doesn't have the right to do that and make Biden president. So that was kind of a good way to frame it so that in case people wouldn't be mad at him.
Right. I should clarify. I don't mean amazing as in I think anyone did an amazing job on the January 6th portion. I meant amazing in every single prediction Adam made about Pence's strategy for winning the election came true
I
in
don't
that
agree
in
with
that
that, but
section.
okay.
What are you talking about? You and I argued about look, you said Pence isn't even running. I was like, bullshit, he's not
You're right.
running.
You're right about that, but you're saying that you thought he didn't do it purely as a cynical thing because he thought it would hurt his ability to run for president. I don't agree with that.
Well, hold on a second. I said that when he runs for president, he's
Yeah.
going to make this bid that I put my loyalty to America above my loyalty to Donald
Well, he's
Trump,
going to
and
have
that's
to do that. There's no alternative.
exactly what he did.
No, no, yeah, but okay. He's not
He
like
he's
I
going
don't
to
think
come
he's
out and say,
going.
"I
Wait,
am the
stop.
savior of America.
Wait.
I saved us from a constitutional crisis."
I I don't think Pence. Okay, my disagreement was I don't think Pence is going to go out there and run on that. If he's asked the question, I agree with you. He's going to frame it that
They
way
devoted
because
a whole
that's.
section to it.
But it wasn't him. It was they're asking the questions. He has to respond to this.
But the question was framed around Pence's performance on
Yes. Do
January
you
6th.
the question that he was asked and everyone asked was, do you agree with Pence not throwing the vote out? right?
Let's
But he doesn't have
before.
control. Like obviously, he doesn't have control of that. So the way you're saying that he would frame it, I agree with you. That's the strongest framing, and so obviously that's what he's going to do. I just don't agree that he's going to run out there and like run on that position. That's a losing strategy. He's going to run on the fact that he didn't throw the vote out.
I mean, that's basically the centerpiece of his platform right now. But let's hold on. I don't want to interrupt your overall things. We'll talk about that more
Okay.
when we get to the
So, well, anyway,
January
so
6th
what I was going to
portion.
say about Pence was, so I think Pence shockingly did the best at like really channeling the classic conservative Republican energy. I don't think he has a ghost chance in hell though, because
Why?
because in the current atmosphere that we exist in, okay, no one, I don't think anyone in the Republican Party wants that classic Republican energy. They want the Vivek
Revolution.
revolutionary energy, populist energy, or the DeSantis sort of populist revolutionary energy. I don't think they want, George W. Bush again or Ronald Reagan again. I don't think they want that stuff.
Right. So you think DeSantis is doing the half and half? Yeah, he's like, I'm
Yes.
half revolutionary, half
Yes.
classic Republican.
Yeah. He's like, listen, if you want someone who's kind of like Trump, but you're a little too scared to go with Vivek over here, who's saying crazy ass shit, okay, like I'm your man.
That's pretty cool.
Do you agree with that
Yeah,
assessment?
I mean
Okay.
yeah, that seems pretty on the money. I don't know if DeSantis is going to have enough human interaction to update his operating system
Oh,
to
I was gonna
actually
say,
to
yeah,
get us there.
regarding, see, I don't agree with you in terms of that. I don't think DeSantis's problem is that he hasn't gone on these talk shows the way Vivek has. I think if he went on those talk shows, he would just come off as angry and grumpy. Like
Okay.
I don't think he can really change much at this point. I feel like that's just who he is. And it's the same thing with Vivek. And this is actually one of my big criticisms of Vivek. He's actually kind of running on something that's thematically hypocritical, which is that he's sort of running on this idea that there's a shared American identity that everyone can unify around, which I like. But then he's also running on all these like really extreme, like it's like extreme possible internet right wing positions of like, we need to get rid of the Fed and we need to get rid of the Department of Education and fuck
Right.
Ukraine. And like he's like going through like all like the most like populist right wing positions you
That's
have.
a great point.
And I don't think that melds with sort of this moderate, we need a shared American identity stance, because those
Right.
seem kind of contradictory. And it kind of makes, to me anyway, it comes off as like, I don't know, even though I think he's the most charismatic and he comes off in the way he speaks as the most authentic, what he's saying on an intellectual level makes me sort of doubt the sincerity. Like, is he just saying these things to get elected? I don't know if I trust that he actually believes any of this stuff. He's had this kind of problem where he's been kind of trying to be kind of pro-Trump, even though he said anti-Trump things in the past. So I don't know if people will pick up on it, but I pick up on it that I think he has a credibility problem.
Right.
Um,
That's a
yeah.
strange thing because in this day and age, I honestly don't know if that matters. I don't know if the contradictions, if people really care about the contradictions, or if they even really keep track of them. So
They might
I do.
not.
I mean, I agree with
Yeah.
what you're
Right.
saying.
Well, yeah,
Like,
I don't think anyone will pick up on it the way that I'm picking up on it, because just his presentation is so good that it's not really like you have to really be looking for it, I think.
okay, let's move on to Haley. What's your take on Haley?
Oh, and actually, one last thing about Vivek, it's interesting. Like his positions are so like extreme that it'll be good for the primary, but like theoretically, if Trump gets arrested or something, can't run, I think his extreme positions will hurt him in the general, and I don't know if he can succeed in the general by taking these very strong stances.
Right.
So
I don't think he has any plans of getting to the general. So
yeah, I mean it's possible he could be running for a Trump admin position, someone,
right,
Secretary of State or something or
which I think
whatever.
he's pretty much already secured.
Yeah,
Trump
I
is
would
looking
agree.
for
Yeah.
loyalists, and he's out there saying, "I'm the Trump. I'm the
I'm
most
gonna
Trump."
pardon Trump on day one. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
got some. He's in the cabinet for sure. He's
Yeah.
already
Yeah. Yeah.
won. Is
Nikki,
that a
yeah.
good thing or a bad thing? Because I'm
Well, good in what sense? I mean, I don't think it's a good thing, but it's a good
yeah,
thing for
exactly.
his personal running. It's a good thing.
Oh
I think
man,
that's what
a
the
Trump
Republican Party
cabinet
wants to hear.
stacked with loyalists.
I
Like
mean, yeah, I don't. I don't care.
if Vivek is in Pence's situation, like that
Yeah.
would have been a good question. Vivek, if you're
Ooh.
in Pence's situation, what do you do?
I was actually upset because So one of the questions, if you guys didn't watch it, one of the questions was Brett Baer basically asked each candidate,
Yeah.
did they support
What
Pence throwing out the
Pence
vote
is?
or not?
Yeah.
You know who didn't answer that question?
Vivek.
Vivek. That was the
Yeah.
one person I was super curious to see what his
Yep.
answer was. And he didn't
Yeah.
answer it. And I was like, no, they didn't ask him. I was so pissed at them. They didn't ask him. I was like, how is the one person on the panel who's simping the
How did
most
he
for Trump?
escape it? I
Yeah,
know.
you didn't ask him that specific question. So I'm curious, maybe someone will ask him that in the future. But
There was a lot of dodging going on. A
oh, yes.
lot of dodging. So,
Yes.
but
DeSantis was dodgy DeSantis tonight.
Robot Ron, Dodge DeSantis.
The Dodge protocol lined up very well. Okay.
All right, Haley, what's your overall on Haley? We'll just go
I
through the
yeah,
candidates real
we'll go
quick
through
and
the
then we'll
candidates.
move on to the what
The
happened.
specifics.
Yeah.
I think she did better than I thought she would do. Um, however, she's not she kind of cited being a girl boss
She
too much.
did. She went full girl
And I'm
boss.
like, this is a Republican primary. I don't know why you're going girl boss. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me that you're gonna, unless she thinks that she's gonna kind of run for like VP. Though she did take a shot at Trump at one point, which was kind of interesting. Even though she kind of defended him and took a shot at him, so it's kind of interesting. But I just, unless here's my thought process with the girl power thing. She wants to run as Trump's vice president, and she thinks, the Republican Party has a woman voter issue, so she wants to like shore up that
Fill that
hole.
void, yeah.
Right. That's the only thing I could think of.
Most people think Trump is going to pick a female vice president. So Nikki Haley's probably
Mm-hmm.
definitely in the running.
Yeah,
So
maybe. But she's just, I feel like she's missing that. Like, say that wasn't happening and she's running for president. She's missing that spark, I think, to win the primary.
right. The her final statement was comical to me. I dropped my husband off in Iraq and now I'm coming back to run the country.
Yeah,
It's like, what? What is happening here?
yeah. That was
So,
her. None of their closing statements were particularly good, in my opinion.
no,
But
no.
and well, it
So,
was weird too because like her strategy only makes sense to me if she's running for vice president. But her first answer out of the gate was she blamed Trump for raising the debt.
you're right.
And I
Yeah.
was like, that's so strange to me. What's going on here?
Well, she blamed everyone for raising the debt. She said everyone on the stage has collaborated in raising the debt ceiling.
Yeah, but why throw that at Trump?
I don't know why. We just did a stream on MMT. Why is anyone talking
No,
about
I
the
mean
debt?
that's true.
So
Okay,
Tim Tim Scott, which
your
obviously
Adam's favorite, Tim Scott.
Tim Scott.
Okay. As I call him,
Look,
Tim Snoo.
okay, Tim Scott. I can't believe he actually said, I'm slow. What? What are you
Yeah.
doing? What are you doing?
I thought I disagree. I thought that exchange was pretty good.
What are you
That was
doing? Don't call yourself slow. You're on
he,
fucking in a Republican debate.
I thought he did that well. The context was, they were trying to like you have to answer
Right.
these
Speed him
questions
up. Yes. And he's
really
like,
quick.
I talk slow.
And he's like, I'm a southern boy, so I talk slow or something. So I thought it was folksy and charming. I have no problem with that.
The thing that I kept thinking, I'm trying to look for the silver lining because I made a prediction that Tim Scott would be picked as the vice president,
He still could
which
be.
I'm I'm a little shaky on, but I did
Okay.
the silver lining I was looking at was
Yeah.
okay. They always try to pick a snooze fest
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said.
for vice president.
Yes, exactly.
But the vice president usually is a defender of the president.
Mhm.
And who needs a defender more than Donald J. Trump? I mean, let's be
I agree.
honest here.
He's not. He's
Yeah.
not gonna. He's not like the pit bull vice president cat choice.
Right. Yeah.
But
But
I don't know if you. I don't know if you need that with Trump because Trump is his own pit bull.
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And Scott is, obviously going to help them out with the racist stereotype. So,
Well, okay. Here's I think Tim Scott's problem. So, in a theoretical Nikki Haley vice president, I do think she could maybe help get some women voting with her girl bossness. I don't think Tim Scott's going to help with the black vote,
right.
and I'll tell you why. not only is he really boring, okay, but he sounds almost exactly like Chappelle's impression of a white guy. Or like in the Key and Peele sketch where they're like doing like the black conservatives and they're all wearing like the blue jean outfits. He has that exact tone of voice. It's uncanny. I was like, I just couldn't shake from my mind. I could just hear Chappelle doing his like white guy impersonation the whole every time he would speak. And I was like,
Oh
oh my
wow.
God. It's so
Right.
bad.
Yeah, I think Trump is going to go with a female vice president to shore
Yeah.
up with the women, also to deal with
He's a sexist,
the
misogynist.
sexist
Yeah.
allegations, charges,
Right.
all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Right.
All right,
Maybe.
let's move on to Chris Christie, the guy who was supposed to be the bulldog, but I mean, I feel like he wasn't biting as much as predicted.
He's interesting because he's like has two modes. So when he's just talking normally, like he's asked a question, he just responds to it. He has such low energy, kind of like shocking. He's obviously, he's fat. Like in his intro statement, he sounded like the fat guy who had walked too far and now is out of breath.
That's
I was
so
just kind of
that's so
surprised.
sad.
He was so low energy in his introduction. I was like, what is going on here? And there's a very interesting psychological thing happening that I don't know if anyone picked up on. Whenever he was just asked a question directly, he just responded to the moderator. He had very low energy answers and very low energy just all around. But when he would even when he was attacking Trump, like who's not even there, he did go hard after Trump, but he still had like kind of low energy. But when he would attack Vivek or someone on stage, suddenly he like is awake again. He's like alive. He's like a real person all of a sudden. So I'm like, what the fuck? What does this say about his character that he's only energized when he's like in a conflict with a person like 10 feet away from him?
He's got to save power, man. He goes into sleeper mode.
Oh my God.
What is he gonna do?
To me, it's psychologically so weird. It's like, oh, he's talking about something, he's running for president, he's talking about some policy. He's like, blah, 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 blah. But then when he's like attacking someone on stage, he's like, I'm so energized. I was like, what's going on here? Is he just live for the battle? Like, what's happening?
Those attacks wind him. His biggest moment was obviously on the Trump stuff. He got audible boos in the beginning of the
Yeah.
speech,
Yes.
in the very beginning of the debate, like when they introduced him. So I was like, oh wow, they really don't like Chris Christie. But then, I
He
mean,
gets
I thought they
super
were,
booed later. Yes.
yeah, when the Trump stuff came up and he was basically saying, we got to hold Trump accountable. I thought the people were going to start throwing chairs, man.
Mm-hmm.
It just everyone in the auditorium was obviously on a huge hate fest for Chris
Well,
Christie.
actually, the interesting thing was his there was a time where literally he had to stop because he was getting booed so hard.
Yes,
But it was
they
interesting that
turned around to the audience and told him to shut up.
yes, yes, but it was interesting that wasn't because he was attacking Trump.
Hmm.
It was because he was attacking Vivek.
Really?
Yes,
Was
it
that
was.
during the Trump exchange?
It was. I have it in my notes. Vivek said Trump is the best president in the 21st
Oh
century.
yes, I remember.
Yes, and then he attacked Chris Christie and said Chris is a hypocrite, claiming Trump is running on vengeance and anger since Chris Christie's whole campaign is based on anger and vengeance against Trump, which is pretty funny. And said if you want to see Vivek, this is when Vivek was still doing good. He had a killer line. He said, "If you want to see bashing of Trump, change the channel to MSNBC. I'm not running for president of MSNBC."
Yeah, that was good.
And then Chris. So I guess he was. So I guess the context was it was about Trump. It was all about defending Trump. And then Chris Christie said Vivek makes him laugh, and he started insulting him for kind of defending Trump. And that's when the boos just like erupted out of the arena. So
That Trump line that Ramaswamy delivered, Trump is the best president of the 21st century.
yeah.
I couldn't get Trump's smile out of my head when he
Mm-hmm.
said that. Like, I just imagined Trump in front of the TV, just
Right.
smiling from ear to ear.
Well, that really gives the game away that he's running for either Trump alternative or in Trump's cabinet. Because obviously, if you say Trump is the best president in the 21st century, it's like, well, why would anyone vote for you then over Trump? You literally said he was the best president.
I find it hard to believe that a one-term president is the best president. I just,
Uh-huh.
I mean, that seems like a wild claim to me.
Sure,
You
sure.
know,
Well, I mean,
everyone's
he's
entitled to their own opinion, obviously, but
well, he's trying to, he's trying to get all the Trump energy in case Trump, gets arrested or something.
of course, of course. But you mentioned Ramaswamy had a bit of a credibility problem, and I think that
Yeah.
it's things like
Well,
that that kind of scream.
yeah, but that's not going to be picked up by Trump supporters. They're not going to see it at all.
Of course, they believe him. They totally accept that. Yeah.
Another really fascinating thing to me is that you saw like the last couple of days all these attacks on Vivek
Hmm.
recently in the media, and I really seems like to me that like there was a concern that people thought he was going to do really well in the debate, so they were trying to kind of like beat him up before the debate. And now that he was on the stage and you saw everyone kind of go after him, it's interesting to me because it shows that like I think intuitively people hear him talk and they know he's a threat. Like I don't think he can maybe
Yeah, he's
he'll win.
smart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's smart, he's charismatic, he's very quick-witted, and he says what people want to hear. And he's very tuned into the pulse, or at least the internet pulse of the Republican Party. I don't know what the normie pulse is, but he's very tuned into the internet Republican Party pulse and just basically saying everything they want to hear. I don't think he said a single thing that the internet Republicans would not, the internet
Yeah,
Trump
of
supporters would
course.
not want to hear.
He's an in
Um,
the Fed guy.
Yes, but he's very so he is a massive threat, I think. And I think people are seeing that because even if he loses, I don't think he's not Andrew Yang. He's not a person who I think will disappear. If the Democrats win and he gets nothing out of this, he will keep. I think you'll see him around in politics for a while. That'd be my guess.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's cementing his place definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we can just skip Burgum and
Who?
Hutchinson. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
The people that had to give out gift cards to get into this,
Why did they do that?
I don't know.
It could have been so much more interesting if
What a
they just
waste of time. Yeah.
cut two people out of it. But I
Yeah.
guess, politics, right?
Complete waste. Complete. Yeah, there are two candidates. If you don't watch it, there are two candidates you'd never heard of. One was the governor of North Dakota. One, I don't even know who he was. One of them, I think, literally got in because they had like promised to give people $20 gift certificates if they supported
Yeah.
his campaign or
He paid
something.
$20 for a $1 donation on his website.
People were like, and there was some like questions. I was like, is this legal? This seems like this should not be legal. And the reason he did that was because you had to have a certain number of
Yeah,
unique
40,000.
donators, yeah, to get into the debate in the first place. So but they were both incredibly boring, and no one will care about them, and they'll fade off out of this debate. I have
Right.
no clue why they were even running or what their thought process was. But going back to Christie for a second, so it's interesting because Christie did come out hard against Trump, and he also came out really like pretty hard against like kind of like the Trump MAGA populist energy, which I mean, it's interesting because I really don't like Chris Christie because I think he is corrupt. But it's weird because then I'm like, well, I mean, I give him credit for seeming to have integrity because like I don't know why anyone would do this if they want to win. So like what is his thought process there?
Well, I think it is to fight against the corruption charges. Like if he actually got into the general election, they would start bringing up all the bridge closures in New Jersey. Remember all the corrupt shit he did?
Yes. Of course, that's why I don't like him. Yeah.
Right. So if he actually made it to the general, he could say, "Look, I have had a change of heart now. I have integrity now. Look, I believe Trump is a danger to democracy and America, and look, I have to be not corrupt to save America."
Yeah, but that's what's weird too, because like he was definitely running on the I'm the law and order candidate. When it's like, well, you were literally known for being corrupt, which is strange. But
Right.
I don't see how I cannot conceive of a version of reality where Chris Christie running hard against Trump nets him the Republican nomination.
Right. Of course not. He's not going to be nominated. I
So
don't
what's the
know.
plan?
Well, for all I know, he's being paid by. Look, he's corrupt. For
Yeah,
all I know, he's being
yeah.
paid under the table by someone at Fox News that doesn't like Trump. Like
Hunter Biden is paying Chris Christie.
it's not Hunter Biden, but the
Okay, but here,
Fox
yeah,
News, I think, doesn't like Trump. Obviously, Fox News
Rupert Murdoch
wanted,
doesn't like him.
yeah,
Yeah,
Rupert Murdoch
yeah,
specifically, yes.
yes.
So he doesn't like Trump. He wanted DeSantis, but now I think he has buyer's remorse on DeSantis. So I think Chris Christie is probably there because Rupert Murdoch is
Hmm.
giving him a call and said, "Listen, fuck this guy up in the debates."
But I don't think it's gonna. It's just I don't think it's gonna work. I'm not sure it will work. Him just saying Trump is corrupt and sucks. I don't know if is that gonna do anything. Is anyone on the Republican side gonna go yay? Because right now all the Democrats are like fawning over Chris Christie, and I'm like, okay, that's just gonna make him less appealing to Republicans.
Well, this is the interesting thing from a moral foundation's perspective because we are really the real debate is over the loyalty. Like, are you placing your loyalty on Trump or are you placing your loyalty on the Constitution, America, this
Right.
idea? And a lot of that depends upon if you think, Trump was a threat to American democracy or the Constitution, which I'm not sure a lot of people accept that.
I don't think
Obviously, the
Republicans
people,
do. Yeah.
yeah, obviously the people who support Trump don't accept that. The
Would
never
that? Yeah.
Trumpers do accept that,
Right.
but I don't know if they're going to make a tangible difference in the primary. They will definitely make a difference in the general.
But that's the
But
problem is that I mean I agree with you in the primary. I don't think the overwhelming majority of Republicans do not see it as that dichotomy of loyalty to Trump versus loyalty to America. I don't think they see it that way. So I don't think Pence or Chris Christie would gain anything by taking that position. The only
Pence
assuming that
Pence did literally take that position in the
he
debate, though.
did, right? But I don't think it's going to work for him.
Right.
Um, the only like assuming Chris Christie isn't being paid by Rupert Murdoch or someone, okay. Assuming this is like he actually thinks he can win. The only thing I could possibly think of his thought process from like a cynical perspective is he thinks that Trump is going to get convicted for something before the election and will go to jail. And when he that happens, he thinks that the public opinion will turn against
Well,
Trump
tank, yeah.
and tank, and he will be the one candidate who said, "Hey,
Who
I was
predicted it?
against Trump from the beginning. All these
Right.
other people, they were all bowing down and kissing his ring, but not me." And so then he would be the clear choice. That's the only
Right.
thing I could think of. I don't think that will happen, by the way, but I think that's the only possible thing I could conceive of like a plan that would make sense.
It's good. It is good. Yeah. Definitely the everything Ramaswamy said looks completely different in that scenario. Obviously, like if he's backing President Trump as the greatest president of all human history,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden Trump is in a jail cell as the October surprise, it looks like those statements come off a bit differently there.
Yeah, but
I
even
could
if
see
Trump,
Christie. Look, I always say all these guys are egomaniacs, and they do
I agree.
actually believe that they could become president. I think that is a logical thing that Christie could be thinking.
Well, but even if Trump gets arrested, okay, say the trial happens before the election, which is actually interesting. The trial, the Florida, or I think it's federal, the federal case that's in Florida, the documents case. One of the other people who's charged has asked for a speedy trial,
Right?
which is interesting because Trump was asking for it to be delayed for like 2 years. so, and apparently, I don't know the exact specifics, but apparently, him asking for the speedy trial, it's like they have to do it. It's not really a question.
Wow. Okay.
And so that would kind of, I think, force the trial to take place, I believe, this year. Now, so which would mean that Trump could attempt to separate himself so that he gets to be tried different, like separately from this guy. I
Wow.
don't know if that will happen or not, but
Okay.
so that's a whole interesting thing we can talk about. But even if Trump gets theoretically convicted and arrested on any of these charges, I don't. I think people will turn away from him, but I don't think it's going to be massive. Like I don't think there's going to be some big wave of support. I don't think 100%. I don't even think 70% of Trump supporters would turn against Trump if he got arrested. So I don't think that Chris Christie strategy that I just made up in my head would possibly be an avenue to success.
I think if Trump is arrested, my gut tells me his support goes up. It just,
Really? Okay.
yeah, I think the
I don't
loyalty,
agree. But
I think the loyalty is just too strong, too strong. So I don't. I didn't write down the opening question. Was it just, what is your pitch to be president?
Well,
Is
hold
that
on.
how they started
Let
off?
me read the $20 super chats first, and then we'll go over the specifics.
Okay.
Twitter sucks. Our circuit god uncle, thanks so much. Says, hold on, I can sum this up in one super chat.
Uh-oh.
And
And
then
that's where
Twitter
it
sucks.
ends.
And then Twitter sucks gives another $20. Thank you, Twitter sucks. Says, Chris Haley, I'm a woman. Vivek, literal Russian agent. Chris Christie, you sound like Chat GPT. Pence doesn't know how long 30 seconds is.
Oh, no, he
Uh,
doesn't.
Hutchinson, conservative Bernie Sanders. Scott, more exciting Ben Carson. Well, that is true, and that's not saying a lot.
Wow.
Everything else, forgettable. I mean, that's not none of that's untrue. I'll say that. None of that's untrue.
I found the
Okay.
exchange on Ukraine pretty interesting
Yes, and we'll get
because
into
that
that.
was really the isolationists versus the
The neocon.
the neocon
Yeah.
America world police.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look at Base Pence over here. I didn't expect this. Base Pence coming out as Team America World
Team America.
Police.
I know, all the
Oh
way.
my God. He
All the
literally
way.
said peace through strength. And
He
he
did.
grabbed his fist, he raised it up. I was just imagining it was like you could hear he was wearing a leather glove and you could hear it go like because he's like crushes the enemies of America. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, Dark Biden's got nothing on this guy.
Yes, Pence was like, geez, he was really channeling that like neoconservative George W. Bush energy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he was there through all of that.
He was, yeah,
What
obviously. But
what is the so what was the do you remember the opening question?
I do.
Okay.
So actually, it's really hilarious. If you guys didn't see it, so the opening question was the Richmond North of
Oh, you're
Richmond
right.
song.
You're right.
They literally played the Richmond North of Richmond song, like 20 seconds of it as the opening question.
So the first section was on the economy.
Well, okay, so the intro was just kind of like on general decline, like whatever that meant
Mm-hmm.
to each candidate.
Okay.
And so I know. So my notes, I have DeSantis. He said our country's in decline. And he had a good line. He said we have to send Biden back to the basement,
Yeah.
back to his basement. Oh no, but you're right. Actually, no, you were correct. It was they asked a specific question about the economic decline.
They did, yeah, and they
Yeah,
they linked it to the song. I was like,
right.
okay, this
Yes.
is totally corny. Why are they doing this?
And,
But working
yeah.
working class woes was kind of the
Right.
theme of it.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. How do we recover from this malaise from Bidenomics? They even said Bidenomics. So
Biden. Yep. I
yeah,
thought so DeSantis went first. I thought his opening was very weak. Even though he had the line that was kind of decent about sending Biden back to his basement, he felt very politician-y energy-wise when he said, because his 3 points for how to fix the economy was Biden is corrupt, Congress spends too much money, and he would somehow lower the price of gas
yeah, energy independence. That
with
old chestnut.
somehow with magic, right? That was, and I just felt like it felt like not a lot of nothing really there to grab onto. He wasn't really there's no moral foundations to really
There
grab onto
was.
either.
There
Oh, really?
was.
Okay, what was that?
Fairness, yeah. Because he
Fairness.
compared
Mm.
the
Hmm.
working class guy who's, working a dumb job and not being able to survive, and Hunter Biden selling his
Oh,
paintings
you're
and
right. You're right. He did bring up. Wait, was that in
getting,
the intro or was that later?
yeah. No, that was the first question. Yeah.
Oh,
He
okay. He
he
brought up
brought
the
up
Hunter
the
Biden.
hardworking
Okay, that's
individual
right.
versus Hunter Biden selling his paintings, which is
For yeah.
obviously a scam.
Hmm.
And getting rich and smoking crack. Well, he didn't bring up the smoking crack, but
Yeah.
so that was an appeal to fairness. It's not fair that the
Right.
working class people live one way and the rich and powerful politicians live a different way, which
I
really
know
played into the song. And I
it
thought,
didn't. Yeah.
I mean, look, yeah, it wasn't as good as it could have been. It was only one line, so
Yeah, I think if you're going to try to appeal to, I think when you're trying to appeal to something moral in these debates, like there has to be a theme. Like if you're not very energetic, I think there has to be a theme that your entire answer plays on. And he just had that one line mixed in with a bunch of other like politician speak.
yep,
And so yeah, I thought his intro was very weak.
yeah.
Then
I'm giving it to him
okay,
just because.
okay, he tried.
Well,
We give him the
yeah.
at least you tried award. Is that what you're saying?
Fairness, I think it's the one thing that appeals to most people, and I do think it's why Trump is such a so good at this is because
Hmm.
he manages to just intuitively frame everything in terms of fairness. But I do, and I'm glad that you've come around to my way of thinking that you really have to hammer it home, make it
Yeah.
crystal clear, hit that thing 3 times, 4 times, 5 times.
Well, if you're
Fairness,
trying to
fairness,
appeal to like,
fairness.
if you're trying to
Yeah.
appeal to a moral intuition, yeah, that's got to be
Right.
like the central part of your answer. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So he opened up with like the nation in decline, which doesn't really touch on any moral foundation. It's like, why am I supposed to care about this?
Well, I mean,
Energy independence is
yeah.
that doesn't touch on
Well,
any.
the nation decline does kind of play into like sanctity, degradation,
Oh, maybe. Yeah, a
but
little
it's
bit.
not. You got to paint a specific picture,
You
right?
do. Yeah.
Um. So okay. So anything else you want to say about his intro?
No.
Okay.
And then who?
Next was
Yeah.
Chris Christie, who, as I said earlier, he had a very, very awful intro. Very, in my opinion, very low energy. He didn't really give anything specific how to fix the economy. His big selling point in his introduction was that he can work with Democrats.
Yeah.
Which I was like Robin Williams meme. I was like, what year is it? Like, is that what you want to run on? You can work well with Democrats? I don't know about that. Um,
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
mhm.
Definitely.
Though then it was interesting, though he did have a good response after saying he worked well with Democrats. He threw them under the bus because Brett Baer specifically asked him a follow up and he said, well, you think you can help the economy, but when you were governor of New Jersey had very high debt. And his
Right.
answer was, it wasn't my fault. It was the three Democratic governors before me. I inherited their mess and I had to clean it up. And I was like, okay, that's a good pivot, I guess. So
It is a little what about the Democrats, but I
tell me, what is he going to do,
immediately,
right?
of course, of course. The Yeah, it was super weak. He opened up with, we have to really sell our ideas to the American people, not really, you know, why are you telling me
Mm-hmm.
we have to sell them to the American people? Sell me already.
Right, right,
It's like
right. That's a good
I
point. Yeah.
I get it. It's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Then immediately pivoted to the debt, which I was like, oh my god, are we gonna
Adam is just triggered. He's like,
It's just
no, the
what the
debt.
fuck? Yeah, and that's when he asked the follow up because
Yeah.
he's like, we got to fight the debt, and then he's like, well, what about the debt in your state was like off the hook?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they start off on the debt, but
Right.
it was his opening statement was totally unimpressive. So
Right. Though I guess he did end it with he's like, he claimed, I don't know
yeah,
what's
he
real.
fixed it. Everything's great in
Yeah.
New Jersey now.
Yeah. He claimed he
That
fixed the
bridge
new,
finally opened up
it
again.
did. He finally got the bridge open. He claimed he fixed the debt in New Jersey by cutting payments to government employees.
Oh, they're right. Yeah, he fired a bunch of government employees.
Which, if you're Republican, I guess you'll like that. I'm just
Right,
like,
sure.
oh, okay. I
If you
guess.
live in the state of New Jersey, you're probably not voting for Chris
Yeah, I don't
Christie.
know if you're happy about that. So, and then next was Tim Scott.
Yeah.
Very boring.
Very boring.
Very
Yeah.
boring.
Shrink government.
Yep.
He voted against spending.
Cut
Uh,
taxes.
let
Very
states
standard
spend their
answers.
own money. Yeah.
Right. Right. Very
I'm
standard,
like,
but
oh my
right.
God, it's going to be debt,
Right.
debt, debt.
Yep. Yep.
Isn't there a debt ceiling fight coming up? Or
Um,
I think, no, I
there's
think they have
something
to
coming up, I
pass a
thought.
bill. They
Yeah.
have to pass a continuing budget resolution. If they don't pass it,
The budget.
the government shuts down. Yeah. There's like a
Great.
government shutdown on the table in the next couple of months,
Right.
which I'm like, these motherfuckers. So, and then Ramaswamy.
Then Vivek. So it's interesting. Brett, not Brett.
Hmm.
Brett called him a blank slate, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Right.
Because at first it was interesting. So Brett Bear, who's definitely a bear in this conversation, he was pretty based in this conversation, but he called him a blank slate, which like that's very easy to take that as an insult because you're like he's an unknown quantity. But Vivek and this is why Vivek is very good at this. He's very quick. He immediately turned that into a positive because he said, "You're right, Brett. I'm not a politician. I'm a businessman." I was like,
Right.
"Oh shit." I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh shit, he knows how to play the Republican game." Oh my god.
That
And
was a smooth move.
that was a smooth ass answer. And his intro was like he annihilated it. He killed it. And this is where I think everyone immediately starts sharpening their knives towards him because like you could tell everyone else is kind of sleepy Joe energy.
Of
And then
course. Yeah.
Vivek
Everyone's a
comes
two.
out. Yep. Vivek
He,
shoots out of that opening gate,
yeah. He's
And
like an 11 immediately.
yes. Yes, immediately just shows that he is like different. He's like, I'm not a politician. I'm a businessman, super charismatic, super energetic. He said he lived the American dream and that he was there to protect the American dream and that we need an outsider. We need an outsider in Washington to come and fix everything. And the crowd just eating this all up. He's going straight, Trump rhetoric 2016.
Yep. Yep.
So,
We need new leadership. I'm young and ready to do it.
yep. So very, very strong opening statement. And he did good too because he didn't go into any of the crazy policy shit.
Nope.
It was all just high-minded aspirations.
Yeah.
Okay.
American Dream type stuff,
Right.
which obviously I like a lot. So,
Right. And then you hear his actual policies and you go, oh no.
yeah. The voting tests.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this to me? You know what's going to be on that test. How many genders are there?
Who was the best president of the 21st
Oh
century?
my God. No. All right.
Okay.
Then Haley came out.
Nikki Haley. Yeah. What'd
Right.
you think about her
We need to
intro?
tell America the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And then stop spending, stop borrowing the
Yeah.
debt.
That old
everyone
Republican chestnut. Yes.
everyone here voted for the debt. I'm responsible. I'm going to shrink government. Oh, so stale. Heard it all before. Very boring. I was like, please, can Vivek talk longer? Can we go back to Vivek?
Well, it was interesting because except for like Vivek and DeSantis and maybe Christie, like they're all the other Republicans are running on the old Republican platform. It's all just you've heard a million times: shrink the government, cut spending, lower the debt, cut
Right.
taxes. Like all the same policies we've heard a million times. Surprisingly, not a lot of people talking about wokeness. DeSantis brought it up, I think, once,
Haley
and
said the word one time.
he said
Only
it.
one time.
But
Yeah.
not. I thought there would be a lot of them pivoting to talk about culture war issues, but no,
They
not
didn't.
didn't really happen. And I think they suffered for it because just a lot of this stuff that I think a lot of Republican voters have heard their whole lives and have grown sick of. So
Right. Well, I think somebody somewhere did a poll that the inflation was just the number one issue. So that's
mhm.
why all of these opening statements focused on inflation, the economy, those kinds of things.
Right. Wasn't inflation like down now?
Supposedly, but that never
Supposedly.
stopped a Republican from talking about
That's
runaway inflation.
true.
Yeah.
It's at well, actually it went up a little bit from last month. It's
Oh,
3.1
did it?
and it's
Interesting.
2.9 last month. So it's gone up a little bit.
So then we moved on to Pence, and Pence,
Pence, yes.
they asked Pence specifically about inflation.
Yeah.
And he pivoted to talk about what a great job the Trump Pence administration did on
Yes.
the economy, the military, the pro life stuff, because they got 3 judges nominated to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm the most experienced here. And then he went back to dealing with the debt and fiscal
Yeah.
responsibility.
Yeah, he said, I don't know if it was there or later when he was like, you know, we had the debt and inflation good, and then Biden ruined it, and blah 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 blah. Though I wonder when I was listening to some like, is this weird? How often have you ever had a situation where the vice president of the president is running against the president in the next election?
Yeah, that's an interesting situation that we've never really seen before,
I
right?
mean, I'm assuming we've seen it at some point in American history, but like recently, yeah, like Pence is running against Trump. So it's like it's weird because he simultaneously wants to run on his record, say that we did good together, but he can't like fully come out against and say that because then it's like, well, then why would we vote for you over Trump?
Well, he's going to say that the policies of Donald Trump were great, and but the Donald Trump is a crazy man who tried
I
to,
say,
yeah. So,
yeah.
and a lot of
Well,
people are kind of buying
mhm.
that argument already. They want the anti-Trumpers do want the policies of Trump without the chaos of Trump.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
But you mean the anti-Trump Republicans?
Yes.
I just don't think there's that many of them.
Think Trump has a lot of energy. I feel like a lot of people feel Trump was mistreated,
Right.
and they're voting for him based on loyalty.
Mm,
And this is why I think if he's even in a jail cell, they're just going to stack that up to the mistreatments. It goes all the way back to Russiagate. Because you got to think these people have lived through all of this. They've
right.
seen the Russiagate stuff, and they've seen the Charlottesville stuff. They're like, this guy is being
The
mistreated.
grievances
And
have piled up. Yes.
yeah, that's why when you get to this indictment stuff, they're just like, it's more grievances. They're never going to believe there's any that Trump did anything wrong.
I think if he theoretically gets arrested and convicted,
Hmm.
I should say convicted and arrested, I think a big chunk of his base will become even more like fervently in support of him to the point of like craziness. But I do think he would overall, my prediction be he'd overall lose support in the Republican Party. Because I do think I think people have this difference between like being charged and being found guilty. And I think it does have an effect on people's opinion. That'd be my guess.
Well, I hope you're right. And also, they are supposed to be conservatives. I
Right.
think obviously voting for someone who's been convicted is a lot different. That's not a
Yes.
conservative move.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
you're right. You're right about the innocent until proven guilty. But as soon as the hammer drops and there is some sort of conviction, things might change in the polls. It'd
Hmm.
be interesting to see. You
Well,
should make that prediction right now. Then,
I mean, that
well,
is
I
the
don't know if he's
prediction I
going to
would
get.
make, but
I
I
don't know
don't
if
know if
he's
he's
going to
going to
get
get,
convicted though.
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if any of these are going to happen. I mean, I'm curious because I don't know how it's going to work. So with the documents case, the person asked for a speedy trial. But I mean, everyone's saying that the judge in that case is pretty Trump favorable. So I don't know the specifics, but if there's a way for him to separate himself from that person, I think that's very likely the judge would grant it to him. Because I do think that's his worst case. Because that one seems like it's just very clear that he violated the law. So
Right.
I mean, if that case happens before the election, I mean that's going to be the hardest hurdle I think for him to overcome. So unless it's just people are saying because the venue they think is just so favorable to Trump that he might just skate by, but I'm not sure about that.
It's
But
it's.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to change subject. So
Oh, it's interesting that for me that in questions about the economy, and this is one of the reasons why I fundamentally disagree with the Republicans on the economy. I guess
mhm.
maybe they do a better job on the economy because all of the prescriptions that they preach during the primary and the election go out the window immediately as soon as they get into office and they start spending like drunken sailors, which I think actually helps the economy. They always default to the debt, like as if doing something about the debt is going to fix the economy.
Mhm.
And I fundamentally disagree with that.
It's
So
a good move though, like morally, because like this feels like there's a moral thing with the debt,
right, yeah,
right? Like no, like it's immoral to spend money you don't have, right?
yeah,
So, but Pence is definitely running on stability, and I just don't think that's the winning thing in this election is stability. I think you got to run on the I'm going to kick the table over revolutionary energy that Vivek is channeling. That'd be my prediction.
right.
Oh, so it was interesting. So before, so we're still in the opening speech section. So basically, when Pence finishes, even though Vivek already gave his opening, he interrupts and starts attacking Pence, which was kind of fascinating. And he calls Pence's introduction boring and meandering. Like I'm
Did he really?
paraphrasing. I'm paraphrasing, but that's like basically what he said. He's like, I didn't hear any information in that. I forget exactly how
Yeah,
he
I was
phrased
gonna
it.
say I don't think
Right.
he said boring and meandering. I
Right.
think I'd
I'm
remember
saying
that,
that
but
was like what he's getting at. He's saying, it's no one knows what the fuck he's talking about is boring and and meandering. And he basically he called Pence a coward for not declaring war on the federal administrative state. And Vivek said that he would declare war on the federal administrative state.
yeah,
And then Pence immediately fired back, calling Vivek stupid through the classic, oh, you didn't understand what I said, stupid? Well, let me explain it to you.
Yeah, they
And
had a
what?
little exchange there, didn't they? It got
Yes,
heated in the first round.
yes, and he called Vivek a rookie. He's like, let me explain it to like a rookie who wouldn't understand it. And Pence got booed for this interaction, which was kind of interesting. Um, so that was like the first opening back and forth, which I think
Right.
Vivek definitely came up on top of that interaction. Then we had
And this is the old Republican Party of governance and stability versus this fuck incrementalism,
yes,
revolutionary, I'm going to go to war with the government
yep,
type mentality. I
yep,
guess
which yep,
has it, I don't know that the Republicans have had an in the Fed mentality, like rank and file Republicans, or like the Bushes. I don't remember that
no.
being high on their priority to end the Fed. That seemed like it was, the outsider move of the Ron Pauls and Rand Pauls of the Republican Party.
Well, it's interesting because like the whole end the Fed energy was classically that was like the libertarian move. That wasn't really the conservative thought. But now it has moved into conservative thought, even though the right wing populists are like pretty anti-libertarian for the most part.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting how like that opinion has shifted on that one issue. Um, but then DeSantis tried to butt in because he's like, well, I need to get some talking time here. And so he also starts attacking
I know.
Pence. This is very interesting. I don't know why both Vivek and DeSantis felt the need to attack Pence because I really don't see Pence as like a strong contender, but they do. And DeSantis starts attacking Pence, and he brings up the COVID lockdowns
Yep.
under Trump as a big mistake, very big mistake. And he said that he was going to, he said like he would have fired Fauci, and that was his big thing. He would have fired Fauci. And
Right.
then, but what's interesting is that then instead of Pence coming back at DeSantis and defending himself, Vivek comes in and says, "No, fuck you, DeSantis. I'm the one attacking Pence. You don't get to attack Pence." And he said, and this is crazy. He said, "Everyone else on stage is fake except for me. They're just slinging you slogans, but not me. They all want incremental change, but I'm going to give you revolution." And I was like, holy shit. It's like crazy shit.
He did. He called them all basically shills. He said they were all bought
Yes.
and paid for,
Yes.
which completely changed the entire mood of the room.
It
And a,
did.
a
It did,
lot of
yeah.
people started booing, but you couldn't. Everyone was yelling at each other. You couldn't tell who they were booing at.
Yes, who was booing what, who was excited for what. And he literally and I'm not paraphrasing, he literally said he was against incremental change and in favor of revolution.
Yeah,
And
I
I was like,
wrote that
holy
down.
shit. Like that was I did not expect that. So
Yeah.
he's 1000% like I'm Trump, populist, kick the table over.
That's how do you think that is going
By the way,
to?
I'm saying it excitedly because I'm excited to watch the spectacle. I think that's like batshit fucking crazy,
Oh yeah, good.
personally. So
I agree. I
but anyway,
agree.
I
Yeah.
do not actually support any of this shit that Vivek was saying.
Well, you're gonna get called a shill for
That's fine.
endorsing incrementalism, but
Right. I know. Look
yeah,
at the dirty centrist, enlightened centrist who, is endorsing incrementalism. What a fucking shock.
that's not a conservative play though. The
Right.
revolution is not. I don't know how you can call revolution conservative.
It's not. It's not conservative. It's right wing populist,
Right.
which is different. It's
Right.
kind of similar but different. So that's where the confusion comes from, I guess.
So the one moral foundation I could pick out of all of that was there seemed to be this team up on Ramaswamy because he's the inexperienced rookie and Pence is like the seasoned professional.
Right.
So that's the authority foundation, right? He's trying to
Yeah.
undermine his authority.
Well, also, I mean, so, and this is, I'm interested because I wish, just from my own psychological perspective, I wish Vivek hadn't attacked everyone because I'm curious if them attacking him, because they took turns beating him up. They took turns later in the debate holding him down and beating him up and taking his lunch money.
Yeah, because they called
Um,
them all shills.
right, but that's why I wish he hadn't called them all shills because I would be more curious, were they doing that because he called them shills, or were they doing that because he seemed to be the clear threat?
They all seemed very upset when he said that they were all bought and paid for.
Yeah,
As
obviously,
soon as he
yes.
threw out the bought and paid for, you could hear everyone on the stage groan like,
Yes.
"Oh, this is not how we Republicans do things.
Right.
How
Right.
dare you?"
Well, that's about to come up. Okay, the bond paid for line, because he said everyone here is slinging slogans, and then he doubled down in the next question and said he literally said everyone's bought and paid for except for him.
Right. Oh, I guess you're
Um,
right. That was in the climate change section.
right. So okay, so
Right.
we're not even talking about Doug or Hutchinson because no one cares about them whatsoever.
Yeah,
Um,
he made some break a leg joke that like nobody knows you broke your leg, dude. Okay, you went.
right. Okay, so then the next question was they asked about it was about climate change, and they wanted the candidates to raise their hand if they believed in man-made climate
Well,
change.
hold on. I think you should say, look, and
Yeah,
this is interesting to me.
right.
They have a kid. I don't know. He's like 10 or 12 or
Oh, you're right.
something.
You're right. Yes.
Ask the question. So they're framing it as, this is a future Republican here who cares about climate change.
Right.
Uh, we should care about young people. This is an important issue to them. So he asked the question, climate change is a big deal. What is your position on it? Does the kid ask him if it's real or not? I can't remember how the kid framed the question, but
He didn't. No, I don't think the kid didn't ask if they was
he just
real.
asked basically, what are you guys going to
Right.
do about climate? Look, the world is getting warmer. What are you going to do about
Right.
climate change, right?
Right. So then
So
Brett Baer asked if they thought
right.
he wanted them to raise their hands if they thought it was real. Right.
Right. So he asked, this isn't the hand moment, the hand
Right.
going up moment. Remember when they did this in the Democratic
Oh
primary
yes. Yes. It
and it
was
was a huge
devastating. Yeah.
debacle? What did they ask? They were like, can illegal aliens vote
No, it wasn't a vote. It was should they
or
get
get free health care?
health care? Should they get it wasn't free health care,
Yeah.
but should they get access to Obamacare or health care or something?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty bad moment.
And
So
they all raised their hands. But so
they
they
did.
asked the climate change question. Do you
Right.
remember how Bear phrased it?
He said he asked
Oh,
if
do
they
you think climate change is real?
no, he said, "Do you believe in man-made climate change? If you do, raise your hand."
Right.
Use
Okay.
the term man-made. And it's funny because you brought up so they wheel out the kid to raise the answer. This is to
To raise the
basically
stakes.
to
Yeah.
raise the stakes, right? To frame the question, to raise the stakes. Brett Baer asked the question, and then Ron DeSantis steps forward and he slaps the kid in the face. He said, "Get the fuck out of here with your climate change shit."
Yeah.
He said, "Get out of here, you kid." He just punted that kid away. But actually, so from an optic standpoint, big win for DeSantis in this moment because he, in a he obviously planned for this. He knew some kind of hand raising question was going to come up. He interrupted everyone before they could raise their hands, and he said, "We're not school children in kindergarten. Why are we raising our hands like we're in class?" And everyone
Right.
was like, "Oh shit!" And I was like, "Wow." I was like, "Okay." That because I was very curious to see how each Republican would deal with that question, right? That would actually put them in a difficult spot. And DeSantis comes in is a pithy, though bullshitty, but a pithy way to diffuse it and basically protect everyone on the panel from having to raise their hand to address that question directly, which was kind of I was like, wow, it's pretty good tactical move right there.
See, I don't know how that played with the general public. I think it played
Mm-hmm.
differently with me than you.
Okay, how did it play for you?
I I felt like DeSantis was stepping forward and said, "Here, let me dodge for all of us."
That's what he did. That's what he did. Yeah.
But that it was obvious. It was so obviously a dodge, and they all looked just like pieces of shit that they all let him do it, and they all dodged along with him. I was
Yeah, but
like,
here's
all these
right.
people are fucking shit.
But here's what you have
Weak
to
people. That's what I thought.
here's what you have to think about. If you are afraid of climate change,
Right.
you look at that and you say these are all dodging pieces of shit.
Right.
Right. That's your intuition. If you
Look,
don't believe in it,
I think the climate change stuff is way oversold. So I'm
no,
not
I know.
even one of
Yes,
those people.
right.
I think
I
these are
understand.
people who can't answer basic questions. That's what
Okay,
I think.
I'm telling you what I think the general perception would be.
Okay.
I think the general perception for the Republican voter, because they're really all that matters in this, Democrats don't matter right now. Republican voter who who I would assume mostly don't believe in man-made climate change or think it's overblown, would look at DeSantis throwing up that dodge and basically insulting the question as like a big win. Because he say, "Oh yeah, fuck you, that's a stupid question. Fuck you." Like
I just
I think that's people's reaction. That'd be my guess.
look. I don't think this is going to play well in the general
Okay.
election. I think there are people, moderates, that are
Right.
concerned about climate change. I think if they dodged all around. Nobody. Well, I guess not
One
everyone.
person didn't dodge, but we'll
Yeah.
get to that in a
Yeah.
second.
Okay.
Right. But you're right. So DeSantis, they throw the question out. DeSantis basically did a joint dodge. He cast
Right.
spell of dodge for every Republican on stage, and they all took it, but one of them.
Right. Yeah. And who was
Eh,
the one? Who was the
Well,
one to
who was the one was Vivek.
Ramaswamy? Yeah.
Vivek. So
Exactly.
Vivek came
He
out, and
says
and
he
maybe you're right
yells at the
because
top of his lungs.
yeah, because
Climate
maybe
change is a hoax.
right, maybe you're right in terms of he perceived it as people might see this as like weak and a dodge. So you're right. He came out. He just yelled, climate change is a hoax. He literally said climate change is a hoax. I'm not paraphrasing. He said climate change is a hoax. Um,
Yeah.
and he was the only person. Oh, so he said that. He shouted that, and then that's when he said
And then he
he's the.
delivered the insult of insults.
And then that's when he stepped in the dog shit. And then he said he's the only person on the stage who's not bought and paid for. And I was
Right.
like, oh, and he got booed for that. He got booed for that. And I was like, oh, that was a big overstep. That was a big overstep, in my opinion. He should not have said that.
I think that's the moment that everyone on the stage audibly groaned. I think
Yes.
he used the word super PAC puppets,
Yes.
which
He said something to that effect. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It was too much because my thought is like, so in these debates, because like especially if you're someone like Trump, if Trump went on that stage and said that, everyone would fucking cheer. Okay.
Yeah.
Because they already support Trump. They're fine with that. But if you're someone like Vivek who has very low support, you're trying to get support from other candidates, the way to get support is not to basically insult the broad integrity of every other person there. Cause then it's like if you're not supporting Vivek already, it's kind of like calling the
He's
audience
insulting
stupid.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, because like, oh, you support this shill who's bought and paid for. Are you stupid? Right? Like it
Yeah.
doesn't play well in my
Great
opinion.
point. Yeah.
So he did. So it didn't. I don't think that worked. I think it was a big misstep for him. And then Chris Christie immediately sensed that he sensed the
Right.
blood in the
There's
water,
blood in the water here.
like the New Jersey shark he is. And he says, I've had enough.
He's like, I've had enough. I'm going to answer the question asked. Is that what he said?
No, he said, I've had enough of you, Vivek, you motherfucking ChatGPT son of a motherfucker.
Right.
And he said, you sound like ChatGPT. And I heard that and I said, what the fuck does that even mean? I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. I didn't even get it. What was that comment? I was like, oh, Chris Christie, he's revving up. He's got a good insult in the chamber. And then he said he sounded like ChatGPT. And I was like, oh, totally lost on me. I don't understand the insult there.
He missed a huge opportunity here because Chris Christie actually said, you remind me of a young.
We're not there yet. We're not here yet. Well, hold on. Let's save
He,
that. Wait.
no, this is exactly where he says it.
No,
What are you
no, but he
talking
says
about?
chat GPT. Oh, okay. Well, so are we,
Okay.
I was just
Okay.
curious, what did the chat GPT thing? Because like you hear that and it's supposed to be like, oh, he sounds like a robot, right? He's giving canned responses.
Look, the ChatGPT thing didn't go over with me. I had no idea what he meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doomer's in the chat and says, I sound like Alexa. Thank you, Doomer. No, it didn't. It was kind of like in the XQC debate where he called Ethan bald, and you're like, Ethan is
Yeah.
not bald.
He's not
Like,
bald. Exactly. What do you mean
you,
ChatGPT? It sounds
yeah,
like he wrote these jokes himself.
like you can't call the candidate who's the most energetic, charismatic candidate on stage a robot. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. But then, and then you can continue. Then,
Oh, I can? Oh.
right. Okay. Then he had his second insult, which was yet another misstep, in my opinion.
Well, it's a misstep on Ramaswamy's side too, because he set Ramaswamy up for the perfect comeback, and I can't believe he didn't hit
Okay.
it out of the park.
Oh, okay. Well, tell us. So, what did he say? What was his second insult
He
to?
says, "You remind me
Mhm.
of the young,
Wait, 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 wait,
inexperienced."
wait, wait.
Why
Wait.
don't you just say it? Like,
I will. Okay, I will
what
say
do
it,
you? Yeah,
honey.
you say
I'll
it.
tell the story.
Look,
He
if I'm not
said.
telling the story right,
He said, "You remind me of another skinny guy
right?
with a weird name." Okay. And I heard that and I said, "Oh no."
Did he really say skinny guy with a weird name?
Yes, you did. I wrote it down in quotes. He said, "You remind me of a skinny guy with a weird name." And I went, "Oh my fucking God."
That's a little. That's a little. I mean, that could be spun as racist.
Yes, it can.
Ah, okay. I'm glad you. I'm glad you kept
Yeah, see,
stopping
I
me
was like, you
because
got to
that's an
put that in
important
there.
part. Yeah,
That's tomorrow. Those are going to be the headlines. Chris
you're
Christie
right.
does a
You're right.
racism. Okay.
You're right. You're
Yep.
right. It's going to be all over MSNBC. Chris Christie, racist fuck, shits on Obama.
Well, actually, they might not just because they kind of like Christie to
Oh
attack
yeah, they want
Trump.
him to go
So it's
after
going to
Trump.
be, yeah, they're
So
going to be
they'll
kind of
ignore it.
confused. Yeah,
Racism, okay. We like this guy. That's what the MSNBC will say.
Yes, okay. So you gave the punchline away. So yeah,
Right.
you could keep
Well, the
going.
the thrust of it was you're a young, inexperienced Obama.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the similarities are too close for us to ignore. But this is where Ramaswamy completely missed it because I was thinking
Mhm.
Obama won 2 fucking terms as president. Like, why didn't he say, "Look, I'm not in favor of Obama's policies"? But if you're saying that I'm young and can win 2 terms as president, I totally agree with you.
Wow, you're right. That would have been
Like,
killer. Oh
he
my
would have
God.
destroyed the night.
You're
It would
right.
have been over. It
You're
would have been
right.
fucking, that's our presidential candidate.
You're so right. That
Look,
would have been a
that's
killer
exactly what
response.
Obama did.
Yes.
Yet
Yep.
everybody said, "You're young and inexperienced, Obama. You'll never be president." Then they're swearing him in. Look,
You're right. You're
if he
right.
could have made that connection there, over.
That would have been devastating. Yeah.
Over.
Yep. His
Over.
response was it was decent. It wasn't anywhere near that good. It was that although I didn't know what he was referring to. He said that Chris Christie helped Obama win the election.
I know, and that was no, that was the wrong direction.
Right.
I kept wondering if Ramaswamy was too busy sniffing Trump's butt to make that claim
Mm.
because he's like, "What? Oh, I can't be too presidential
Or
here."
maybe he just didn't think about it, you know.
Yeah,
But though
big missed
I
opportunity.
do think he optically, in terms of his visual body language, he did very well because he kind of laughed and he's just laughing and smiling in response to Chris Christie getting angry at him. So he
I
looks
didn't look. I
he
didn't think that played at all for me.
oh I think because it
It
makes
didn't
him look
look
like he's in
serious.
control, like he's not getting triggered by Christie.
It looked like frat boy slap fights to me. It just didn't. It didn't come off as presidential at all to me.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I have the image of him stuck in my head, like looking and laughing at like. I think he might have even been pointing, like he's laughing and pointing at the fat guy.
Well, no, I saw it's funny. I sent you the picture I saw someone tweeted, which is like to me is kind of like the encapsulation of it. It's Chris Christie like pointing at him and he's laughing in Chris
Oh, you're
Christie's face.
right. Yeah, I can bring it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to me, I don't know. To me, I think it looks good for Vivek when I look at that still image because you have this guy who's all like, "Rah!" and Vivek's like, "Idiot."
This is. I mean, this is what's so fascinating about all this, all this stuff to me. This picture is hilarious. I'll bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this is what is fascinating about the democratic process because I mean it affects me one way, it affects you a completely different way.
Right.
It's really how this affects. I think people have too much hubris in that they think, "Oh, this is how it affected me, so this is how it's going to affect the outcome
Yeah, we
of
all
the
gonna interpret
election."
the thing differently. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's not usually how it goes. Yeah, here it is.
Oh.
I mean, this just looks this is goofball central here.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I think it looks good on him. I think it looks good for Vivek. But you're
This
right. I
is
mean, I could see how people could see it in either direction. Like he's not serious. So
these are going to be how the Biden attacks are going to be tomorrow. They're going to call this all of this a clown show. They're going to be like, "Oh, the Republican clown show from
well,
last night."
I don't know if they will because they want the clown show to clown to distract from Trump, to take energy away from Trump. Anything that takes energy away from Trump, Biden's going to be in favor of,
Oh, I guess you're right. Yeah. He's wants to take Trump out.
unless they really
I
think that he's the best shot against Trump, which I'm not sure I believe that. But
people say that. I'm not
yeah,
exactly sure that that's the case. So,
yeah, I'm not either.
people have said he's more interested in running against Trump than DeSantis. So, I guess this will be a tell on whether or not that's true, whether or not they're
Mm.
more worried about DeSantis than Trump. If they do come out and do the clown show
Right,
thing, then they are obviously they want to run against Trump, right?
right,
If
right.
they don't, they're like, "Oh, that was an amazing debate. DeSantis did very exceptional." So anyway, the next move was obviously the girl boss
So
has
yeah,
to come in and
Nikki.
say, "Boys, boys, boys, why are you fighting?"
I forget. Did you? I didn't write what she specifically wrote, but it was like something like,
All I wrote was, "I'm a woman."
"This is a really bad plan on her part." Nikki Haley. So they're all arguing essentially. They're
Hmm.
all arguing in response to this, and Nikki Haley basically says something like, boys just sit around arguing and women get things done or something. Something to
Yes,
that effect.
the total girl boss
I was like,
move.
this is the Republican primary, sweetie. I don't know how you think that's gonna go over well.
Did you really think "sweetie" in your head? Because I
I
think
did.
that's a
I did. I was
sexism
trying to be
right
a
there.
sex. I was like, listen, she threw a sexism. I get to throw a sexism. Okay, that's the way it works.
Sweetie,
I
sweetie,
was like,
honey.
listen, sweetie.
But she actually answered the fucking climate change question.
She did. That is true. That's true. She did. I don't
She
remember what the
said,
answer was, but
"Climate
she did
change is
answer it.
real."
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
She's kind of trying to run as a more moderate Republican, it seems like.
right. Yeah.
A little, I mean, obviously, everything's relative, but. And then
Th-
Tim Scott had an answer, and I don't literally even remember what the fuck his answer was because I just fell asleep.
it was too much bickering. We need to restore hope with a better economy. And I'm a slow country boy. That's what he
Was that
actually
have to do
called.
with climate change?
We have to bring jobs back home. And he dodged on the on the climate change
I wrote
question.
down Sleepy Tim. That was my new nickname for him. Sleepy Tim.
He literally calls himself a slow country boy.
Sleepy Tim.
Anyway, so
Uh,
then we
tw-
move on to, oh, go
Twitter
ahead.
sucks. Thanks so much. Twitter sucks for $20 says Haley is supposed to be a conservative while proposing a compromise to a nation at a nationwide 15-week ban. Absolutely not. The position that differentiates actual conservatives is a complete ban on abortion. Her percentage will drop. We'll talk about the abortion ban
Yeah,
when we get there.
abortion's up next. Why should have
Yeah.
read that
Well,
when we,
not. Well, I'm just reading them in order.
okay.
And Fat Brown Buffalo for $20. Thanks so much. Says Vivek gets a lot of attention for being the most pro-Trump candidate, but I think he was also the only candidate to not attack Biden or blame Americans' problems on Biden. I've never seen him attack Biden during interviews. That's interesting. I never noticed that now until you just said that. Did he attack Biden at all in the debates?
I don't remember it.
That's fascinating. Because here's my thought is at first I thought that Vivek was trying to run as sort of like the candidate that would appeal to Democrats or moderates who are sort of because the thing is he's kind of like he has a lot of the Trump energy. He definitely has the populist energy, but he doesn't have the fuck you energy that Trump has. That's the one thing. That's the big difference between him and Trump. He doesn't have Trump's fu energy, which could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you look on it. So I thought maybe Vivek was going to try to run as like the populist. I can get popular support on the left and the right, but then his position seems so extreme. I don't think he could actually do that.
Yeah.
So, but
He's,
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. It's a good question, though.
Okay, so then the next question they asked was about abortion.
Abortion. Dun dun
Bum,
dun.
bum,
Which I mean,
bum.
overall, I kind of like this section because they were getting down to brass tacks on the number of weeks, which is something I think America needs to talk about. So, what was your take on that?
Um, so the first person, Nikki, responded because she's a woman.
Right.
She said to put it in the hand. This was kind of interesting because it's kind of led to a back and forth. She said that she's pro-life, but like, and they said because her state had like a 6 week abortion ban.
Which
She
is
said she wanted to put it.
crazy.
It was weird because she said she wanted to, like, her position kind of didn't make any sense. She said she wanted to put it in the hands of people, abortion, right?
Well,
Which would
in the
make you,
hand, she said it would be in the hands of the voters. Yeah.
well, no, but so what she said, she criticized the fact that abortion law was controlled by unelected judges. Okay, meaning like the original Roe
Right.
v. Wade decision, and then saying now it's back in the hands of people. But when you say it's back in the hands of people, that makes me think you're saying like oh, so every individual person should have a choice. But then having a 6 week ban is the opposite of that because you're literally saying the government still controls it.
Right.
So I thought the messaging on that was kind of bizarre. I mean, I know she's trying like in she what she meant was put it back in the hands of people who would then elect representatives, but just the messaging I thought didn't work. Um, then she said that so she did have a good point after that where she said she kind of pivoted to saying why can't the Democrats all agree that late term abortions suck? And then she said contraception is good, which is interesting. I'm curious how all the Republicans would respond to that. And she also said that she didn't think women should go to prison for getting abortions, which is another kind of interesting. I'm not sure how the Republicans would feel about that. So she's definitely seeming to try to like walk the moderate Republican line.
Right. Which I think is good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she's
Staking
a.
out
Mhm.
positions that are not just life begins at conception, ban all abortion, I think is a
Right,
conversation I, as an American, would like to have. And
right.
look, I support banning the late term abortions.
Hmm.
You know, and I think women serving prison time for for an abortion is a little
Obviously, I
excessive.
guess I
So
could say it. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, the 6 week abortion ban seems not good to me. So
No, I know. Yeah,
it's
obviously.
a strange situation because they all have to say, "I am pro life," but it's
Yeah,
just it's all you know. But
sure.
I was worried that that wasn't going to happen, and it feels like it is going to happen. Like they've looked at the polls, and I think they even mentioned this in the asking the question that the 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 polls are really against the Republican Party's previous stance on abortion now.
Hmm.
So I think they said as much as 70% of people are in favor of abortion with restrictions.
Yeah,
So this whole idea that we're going to be a country that outlaws abortion for any
seems
reason
unlikely.
is
Yeah,
just that's not
nationwide. Yeah.
yeah, that's not going to happen. So
So okay.
then we move
So
to DeSantis, right?
DeSantis next. So
Right.
DeSantis DeSantis did the DeSantis dot Dodge protocol activate. We're doing a lot in
Look,
conversation.
I have a big note dodged.
I like that we didn't talk about this at all before the
We
stream,
took
so
separate notes.
we
Yeah,
took
we
separate notes. Yeah.
barely DM'd one another.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did not watch this together. So it's
Look,
funny we both put that. Yeah.
I fucking hate dodges. Answer the goddamn question. I people want to know your position.
Yep.
Do they not?
They do. They do.
Look, they're so terrified to take a position. Oh, you might not like my position.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's why I want to know it.
I'm curious if people like does the average voter pick up on the Dodge in
I
that
think they
situation?
do. I really think
Mm.
they do. Because you're watching this thing, you want information.
Yeah, I think you're right. So the three things that DeSantis brought up in his answer was he brought up the fact that he won Florida with he was like one of the only people to win Florida during the failed red wave with like gigantic numbers or whatever. I
Right.
forget whatever he said.
Yeah, we're
Um,
talking about abortion, dude.
Was he trying
What
to
the?
say like, see, I can win elections even because like the whole thing was a red wave failed because of the abortion question. He's trying to kind of relate it to that.
Oh, okay, I got
He
you.
didn't do a good job, but I kind of see where he was going. Um, and then the second thing he brought up was he wanted to focus on how Democrats have bad positions.
Right? Yeah. The
Okay,
whataboutism.
right.
You're
And then and then
winning
the
me
third
over here.
and then the third thing was he awkwardly wanted to do a very clumsy neo dodging the bullets. Because I think didn't Brett Baer ask him specifically, and he kind of maybe I imagine that he just very clearly did not give his position on where he thought abortion should be.
Well, I think Brett Baer did ask whether or not he'd be in favor of a 6 week federal ban. Because isn't there a 6 week ban in Florida?
Florida, yeah,
Right.
something like that, yeah.
So he's like, well, you've got this position in Florida. Uh, why wouldn't you adopt that position nationwide? And he just kind of dodged.
Yeah, he didn't even give the whole like he could have just given the I think it's a state's rights.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's why I was like, why are you dodging?
yeah, he
You
didn't,
just
and
say,
that was
look, it's not up to me, man. The state's got to decide.
right. Yeah, to me, if a candidate said it's up to states, I don't think for abortion because that's been a clear position people have argued. I don't think that's a dodge at all. But he didn't. He
Well,
wouldn't say that. He just kind of just like pass.
now I know why he didn't say
Brett,
that.
Brett Baer's like, you're not allowed to pass, sir. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, that didn't happen. He let him dodge. I know why they don't default to the states' rights thing, because, and this even comes up later. There are all these
Mhm.
states where they're like, abortion, no restrictions. You can have
Oh
an
yes.
abortion 2 weeks before you're supposed to give birth,
Yep.
and it's very hard to say, look, I'm pro-life, but these other states that are basically legitimately baby killing, I think at that point you can't call it baby killing,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
We're just going to let that
Theoretically, yeah.
slide.
Right.
This is where
Well,
the moral foundation of the care thing really comes in. And I think Democrats, they don't get it because they're focused on the liberty of the woman and
yeah.
not the care of the baby. And
Right.
it's funny that you often think Democrats are in charge of the care foundation for morality, but
They usually are, but not in
they
this.
slip up on this one.
So then comes Iron
Pence,
Fisted
right?
Pence.
And
Here comes here comes
Pence
Darth
pulls
Pence.
his Bible out of his breast pocket.
He Pence pulls out the entire Bible and he
Right.
and he and he looks at Nikki Haley and he pegs it at her face as hard as he can, smacking her in the face with the Bible so hard that it's the words "Holy Bible" have been imprinted on her forehead. Okay, he says he went. Did not expect this. He goes full like power of God. He says
He does.
he pulls out his Bible and he says, Nikki Haley, go fuck yourself. We're not about, he's like, the Republican Party is not the party of listening to the consensus.
Right.
Abortion is not about listening to consensus. It's about listening to God. And I was like, holy shit.
Exactly. Exactly. This is not about the American people. This is about God.
I was like, damn. I
That's
think
some old school Republican Party there, right?
to be clear, I don't think he said this. I think he didn't say God. He said about morality or something. This is about listening to morality or
He was
something.
talking about Jesus. He said, like,
Yeah,
Jesus,
obviously he's
Jesus
talking about
told
Jesus,
me.
right? And so Pence
He might
really
even quoted scripture.
that was later. He quoted
Oh,
scripture later. I have to say that in the Republican debate in the year 2023, the candidate did quote scripture. I think it was later, and he advocated for a federal 15-week abortion ban minimum, and hinted at a stronger version of that. He would like a stronger version of that, and then he brought up what you were talking about, how like in California they have no restriction or something, so you could
right.
have like day before abortions, delivery abortions or something.
But I'll give it to Pence, even with all the hellfire and brimstone.
Mm-hmm.
He staked out a fucking position.
He did. He
Yeah.
did. He
He's
wasn't
for a
afraid.
15-week ban on abortion.
Minimum. He definitely hinted at something
Oh,
stricter
yeah, yeah,
than
yeah.
that. Yes.
So he's like, 15. Let's start off with 15 weeks and see if we can get it down to 2.
Right. Right.
See if we can get it down to 0. Well, anyway.
So then Nikki responded by calling
Mhm.
Pence dishonest.
Oh, really?
Yes, she said it multiple times. She said Pence is being dishonest. I thought her reply was very weak because her reply was, well, Mike Pence, you know that the Republicans don't have a majority in Congress. And you know that,
Oh, you're
a
right.
federal abortion ban is very unpopular. So you know that this won't, what you're suggesting has no chance of passing. And to
Right.
me, even if that's all true, which it probably is all true, I don't think that's effective rhetoric in a debate because essentially she's saying, vote for me. No, we
I can't
can't.
do
No,
anything.
we
Yeah.
can't. Yeah. I was like, that is not a good
Vote
strategy, in
for
my
me. I have
opinion.
zero power.
Right. So I was like, oh, I don't know how to get a reply. So
That's a great point. Yeah.
yeah. We didn't hear Vivek give an answer to abortion, so I don't know what his stance was.
Really? I guess you're right. He
Uh,
dodged the
well, they didn't ask
abortion
him.
question.
Didn't ask him.
He said he was pro life, I think, in his outro. He did kind of his stump speech. So
Yes, yeah. Let's see. No one cares about Doug. Tim Scott, he came out in favor of some. He also Tim Scott came out in favor of some kind of federal abortion ban.
right. He said we have to stop these late term abortions. We have to save those babies in California and New
Right.
York.
Yes. He also won the 15 weeks he suggested.
Look, I'm in favor of saving those babies in California and New York.
Mm-hmm. But going back to what Twitter Sex said about Haley supposedly being a conservative while proposing the compromise of the 15-week ban, it's kind of difficult because the Republicans have run so long on assuming that Roe v. Wade would always exist on some national level. They've run so long on like states' rights issue, states' rights issue, states' rights issue. So it seems hypocritical for the Republicans to then pivot and try to get a federal abortion ban of any capacity.
I don't think it matters. I really don't think people are driven by hypocrisy.
I don't know because normally I would agree with you, but remember when Roe v. Wade got overturned and then Mitch McConnell immediately went with the Republican 15-week abortion ban, all the Republicans jumped down his throat for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
They all seemed very mad at him for doing that. Remember?
I got distracted by a chat. What happened? What did
I
you say?
said when Roe v. Wade got overturned, Mitch
Right.
McConnell immediately proposed the 15-week Republican abortion ban,
Right. And
federal abortion ban.
everyone
And everyone got
hated him
mad at
for
him.
that.
They
Yeah.
all shit on him.
Yeah.
People were literally
They
saying he was some kind of
blamed
like Democratic plant or something. I was like, what?
people tried to blame the failure of the red wave on that, which I was like, I mean, that probably helped. Like that probably helped more than hurt in the election.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. So yeah, on one hand I agree with you. I don't think a lot of people care about hypocrisy. I think a lot of people just care about power. I would have thought, but then again, they got mad at him for that. But maybe they only got mad at him because they thought it hurt the election, the midterms. And now that we're far enough away from that, they'll suddenly be in board. They'll suddenly be on board with federal abortion ban. I don't know. We'll see. Okay,
So
no
I did.
Vivek question on that, but
Well, did you mention Haley was? Haley said that the media needs to ask Democrats how many weeks, which I thought was
yeah,
helpful.
that was a good
Got to
answer.
hold the Democrats' feet to the fire
Yes, yes.
because I want Biden to answer that question.
Yeah, no, that was the good. So that was unfortunate because she had her bad answer, which is no, we can't, which is stupid.
Right.
And she had her good answer, which is try to hold the Democrats to what the fuck their standard is.
Right. Yeah, because then you're haggling over how many weeks,
Right.
which, like, oh my God, why are we still doing this in 2023? Why is this even an issue? It's not an
Yep.
issue in a lot of European countries.
So then we're brought to the next subject.
Crime.
Dun 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 dun. Okay, then
Right.
let's see.
What about crime?
So I think the first question directed at Pence was, is Trump's COVID lockdowns to blame for the rise in crime?
Wow. They're just teeing him up.
And
We
Pence
know you want to
said,
attack your old boss here.
yeah, right, right. And Pence said,
Mm-hmm.
no. Obviously, he's going to say no.
Right.
He said, no, defund the police and bail reform are to blame. He comes off. I mean, I think Pence comes off very well, shockingly well in this conversation. He came off much better in this debate than I've ever seen him do before. And like I think he did poorly in the VP debates against whatever the fuck was
Kamala
Hillary's
Harris?
VP. Who was
Oh,
Clinton's VP? It was like that guy that like secured her the nomination, so it's very obviously that it was bullshit.
Tim,
Some random white guy.
Tim something.
Yeah, I think I never was very impressed with Pence against him. I was never very impressed with Pence against Kamala, even though Kamala has horrible charisma. But here, I don't know. I thought he did very well. But again, the problem is he's doing very well as a classic conservative that no one fucking wants anymore. It's like
Oh,
he showed up to a
yeah.
play to audition. He showed up to a play and he did like the best rendition of Julius Caesar like ever. And the guy's like, "That was wonderful, Julius Caesar, but we're doing Greece, so I don't know what the fuck you're doing." like this is you're doing the wrong part here. Like, what are you doing? And so, because his answer about it, I thought was very good. He's very strong, very commanding. He's talking about being stable. He's talking about being religious, blah blah blah. But I don't think anyone cares about any of this stuff anymore.
Yeah, no, he's like Encino Man. He's
Yeah.
he's like woken up.
No, he's like, remember Phil Hartman as the caveman lawyer?
Yeah. Or he's like, Captain America after he's woken up. He's like from the 1950s.
Yes,
He's
yes,
like, "Oh, wow. It's a completely different world now."
yes. Like, okay, Grandpa, that was a great speech. Now go back,
Yeah, exactly.
go back
Time
to the
for
rocking chair.
time for your nap.
Yes, I think what he's trying to kind of go for is sort of this like the country needs a strong like grandpa to stand up and like right the chaos, like to be the head of the household. But I don't
Does
think
it?
I don't think that's what people want.
I mean, you got the kids table Ramaswamy right over there
Yeah,
trying to
who's fucking
like
jumping on the table, like knocking shit
exactly.
over, saying like "fuck the system." Everyone's cheering it, so I don't know if it's gonna work.
Yeah, I don't think Penn stands a chance,
No, I don't either. So
but it is
okay,
what it is. So then they move to Christie.
yeah.
They hit
He
him
asked him
with
about
the
school shootings
there's
specifically.
30 shootings. Doesn't that
Yes.
suck? What would you do about that? Aren't you
Hmm.
a aren't you like a gun nut?
Did you remember his answer? His answer is real weird.
He said he was going to hire a bunch of attorney generals to crack heads. Oh no, he was going to hire an attorney general that was going to crack heads on the other attorney generals, the state attorney
Yes.
generals, and basically lock everyone up.
Yeah, which I was like, I don't know the exact chain of
Hmm.
operations on that one. He's like, I'm going to have the federal attorney general make all the state attorney generals do what I want. And I was like, oh,
Is
are
that
you?
is that
Is that?
possible?
I mean, no. I guess you can call them and yell at them, and you don't have like direct authority over any of them. So I thought that was a
Don't
really
they
weak
though?
answer. No, they do not. Federal attorney general has no power over state attorney generals at all.
There are federal attorney generals in each state, though, because I
Right. So that
remember
was
Barr
yes, that is
was
true.
like as soon as the election stuff blew up, Barr contacted the state attorney generals in each state to get to follow up on election possible
Well, but
malfeasance.
then
Yeah.
there is there are federal arms for each state, but then that's even weirder because then it's like it sounded like what he was saying was that he was going to have the federal attorney general call up the federal attorney generals that are each state, and they're going to somehow charge normal criminals with federal crimes to
Oh yeah, that's a good
circumvent
point.
to circumvent soft on crime policies by Democrats. I'm like, what? I don't think you can do that, but okay, I guess. I mean, that seems like a massive overreach of executive power.
This
So
is one of those situations where having too much knowledge of the details of the situation, I think, make the question seem more confusing than the normal person took it. They were they
yeah,
basically boiled it down to he's going to get shit done.
yeah, yes, obviously, yes. From the normie perspective, you're not going to understand why what he said made no fucking sense, and you're going to say, "Oh, he's going to force them to lock people up." I like that. No
He
bullshit.
did
Yeah,
take this opportunity to bring up fairness
you're
and
right.
say
You're right.
Hunter Biden got this gun charge and he got off scot free, and any one of us regular old Americans would be locked up for good.
And he said, "When I'm president, or if I was president, Hunter Biden would go to jail for 10 years."
Yep.
And I was like, wow, okay, okay.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was wondering, I'm like, I wonder if Chris Christie's trying to like, is this going to be like he's attacking Trump because he's going to spin off and become like a Democrat? No way. Not after some of the comments he made in this. I was like, no, not after the Hunter Biden
He
locked
did a
up for 10 years.
racism. He did a like throw them all in jail.
Yeah, I was like, no. And if anyone says that, you're going to see people. Here's my prediction: you're going to see people saying Chris Christie's going to try to run off as a secret Democrat. Those people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. That's
Really.
not going to happen. So,
Now
okay,
we're getting into the heated portion of the debate,
well,
right?
yeah, we're almost there. So then we have, well, that means we've already been, but another heated.
Ramaswamy answers.
See, Vivek. See, this is where, and I think you have to give Scott Adams credit for this. He points out that whoever draws energy to them is always the person to look out for. And Vivek was definitely drawing all the energy to him. All the fights seem to be about Vivek in this debate.
Because he's starting shit.
I know, but maybe it will work. I mean, everyone's going to be talking about him the next couple of days, the next week. Everyone's going to be talking about Vivek.
He said, "Do we have a spine?" He basically is like, "You weak motherfuckers.
Yes. Yes.
We need a spine."
He said he wants more cops.
Right.
He wants cops to not have to worry about getting sued. He wants to bring back the crazy bin to throw people up in the mental asylums. And he said something really weird that he didn't expound on. I was like, what? He said, we need to bring back faith-based institutions.
I know. It was so weird.
And I was like, what does that mean?
He like
Like,
threw it in the middle there.
yeah, I was like,
I was like, what?
are they gonna make? I was like, are they gonna like take like the crazy people to church and make them pray to God to like pray away their insanity? I was like, what does that mean? Because he said it after the crazy bin thing. I was like, are they gonna pray for salvation? What the fuck does that mean?
Right.
But then,
This was kind of
yeah,
all over the place. I thought the
right, it
answer
was an
was.
all over the place answer.
Yeah. We need
Um,
cops. We need faith. We need mental health. Oh, a
right.
new identity. Inclusive order.
But then what he said his is interesting because out of all the answer, which I thought was kind of confused and muddled, the only part I like really liked was at the end, which I agreed with. The last thing he said was, "People are hungry for purpose and meaning, and we need a tone reset from the top." Now, I don't probably wouldn't agree with Vivek's tone, but I do
Right.
agree that that's definitely going on. I think people are hungry for purpose and meaning. And it was interesting because then Pence saw this as a chance to attack him. And Pence totally, in my opinion, fumbled and tripped over his own, stepped on the rake here. Because I think this to me shows that Pence is out of touch completely with what people are feeling in the country right now. Because he tried to,
I okay,
well,
go
continue.
ahead.
What are you going to say?
Well, no, I was going to say that I disagree with you, but I don't know that I do disagree with you. The conflict here is really well. No,
Yeah.
there's you're saying that we don't. You agree that we need the new identity, but
Yes.
from a lot of people that Pence interacts with, they're like Christian conservatives, American loving military members who their identity is solid in place. They don't, the idea that we need a new identity is offensive to them. And I don't know, those two ideas are in conflict here. And that's why this exchange is so interesting, because I don't know which is more prevalent in the Republican Party. I mean, they've done a bunch of polling and stuff showing that, it's really these social justice lefties that are the ones having all the mental health crisis and, lost and playing too many video games and whatever. And I'm not sure that that's happening on the conservative side. So I don't know that this identity
Yeah.
crisis thing is really going to speak to them.
Well, I think it's two things. I think there are a lot of young, moderate and right wingers that are having an identity crisis and are looking for meaning.
Right.
And I do think that is an energy that's kind of pushing Trump. I think the difference is he didn't say that we need like a new identity. He said people are hungry for purpose and meaning, and we need a tone reset from the top. He wasn't really saying like we need, like he wasn't. So maybe Pence interpreted the way you did, which is why he got triggered. He wasn't saying that we need to throw out our old identities and find a new one. He was just saying that we've lost it and we need to kind of like reset to something else.
I think he used the word identity crisis because Pence
Yes,
did
right. He did
say
say identical. Yeah,
we
right,
don't have an identity crisis.
right,
We're Americans, and went off into the
right. Yeah, but
flag waving speech.
but here's where I think Pence completely screwed up because in Pence, yeah, because he said we have an identity crisis, which I think we do, and I think the fact that the Republican Party has moved away from classical conservative to populist, and the left has gone from classic Democrat to woke, shows that we have an identity crisis, or at least an identity shifting. Um, and Pence said we don't have an identity crisis, and he tried to push back and hearken to this sort of like classic 1980s Christian conservative American identity, which
Right.
I don't think is popular among conservatives anymore. And Vivek had a counter where he basically said Mike Pence was full of crap and
He
said,
did.
yeah, because because Pence said something very
He said
interesting
you're
where,
out of it, old man.
yeah, because Pence,
We're living in Tim Pool's civil war.
right, because that was a very interesting dichotomy because Pence is saying we don't have an identity crisis. We're living in the greatest country on earth, land of the free, home of the brave, right? He's doing like the old
Yeah,
politician
he
thing.
is. Team America.
Yeah, Team America, land of the free, home of the brave. All Americans are based. How dare you say that we have to change anything? And Vivek is saying, you're out of fucking touch, old man. We live in a dark moment. I think he literally said this. He said
Yeah,
we live
he
in a
did.
dark
This is a
moment in
dark
American
moment.
history.
Yeah.
Yes. He used that
Yeah.
phrase, dark moment in American history. And you're right. He was definitely hearkening we're in the Tim Pool Civil War time period. And to me, I mean, I don't know. I know on the internet, obviously everyone's going to agree with Vivek. I don't know what the normie Republican is, but I'm guessing that they're more aligned with Vivek at the moment, thinking that we are living in some kind of dark, woke, dystopian American, future. And I'm not sure they would buy Pence's kind of "this is the greatest country on earth" speech.
This is why elections are amazing because it really is the dark dystopian Tim Pool Civil War narrative versus the you guys need to fucking touch grass. I'm going to go mow my lawn and barbecue this weekend, right?
Right, right.
And I look the election will play out as it plays out. My gut intuition is that Vivek needs to fucking touch some grass. I really don't. I don't buy
Mm-hmm.
this Tim Pool Civil War. I don't buy it when Tim Pool
Whoa,
talks
whoa,
about
wait a
like
minute. So,
I think it's an
right.
internet thing. I think what's
Yeah,
the way it's going to play out is like the Bernie stuff and the Andrew Yang stuff always
right,
plays out.
right.
They like Andrew Yang is going to be the nominee. Oh wait, it's Biden. That's the
Yeah.
way it's going to play out.
Well, you could be right, and this is part of why I'm incredibly fascinated about how this is going to play and see what just the poll numbers are going to be for Vivek going forward. Because Vivek, and I even wrote this in my notes, Vivek is 100% channeling internet Republican candidate. He
Yeah,
is the
totally.
internet Republican candidate, and I was thinking exact same thing. He's like the Bernie Sanders of the right, but I'm very curious to see will his message is that appealing to Republican touchgrass, Facebook booming normies who are less on the internet, or is it going to be like Bernie? He's just going to be, this like flame that flickers out, who's just appealing to the internet people. And I don't know the answer to that
Option
question.
2.
Okay, because
Option 2.
I think the internet
Republican voters are
Republican,
like 60.
I think the internet Republican idea is far more mainstream Republican than the internet left idea was mainstream Democrat.
Oh yeah, that's undeniable. Yeah.
So I think he'll do better than Bernie. I mean, I don't think they'd beat Trump unless Trump gets knocked out. But
Right.
and I don't think he can be Trump's vice president.
Vivek? Hell no.
Yeah, I think there's no way he can be Trump's vice president. And I'm sure you know why I'm going to say this.
Because he's going to make Trump
Rule
look
one.
bad. Yeah. Never outshine
Rule
the master.
Rule number one: never outshine the master. He's too much. He's too
You
energetic.
really should
He's too
actually read
charismatic.
that book.
Yeah, I should. I should. But yeah, he's too much. He's too good. He would take the spotlight away from Trump too
He
much.
would.
So yeah.
Yeah, he would. Everyone will be talking about him.
Yep.
Yeah, and that can't happen.
Like if Trump
Tim
was
Scott.
if Trump was a person, yeah, exactly. If Trump was a person who had full control of his ego, then Vivek would be perfect because if he was his vice president, he could throw him out there to say what he'll say, and he would definitely draw like negative attention away from Trump while he's president.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't think Trump would ever want that. He wants to be the center stage all the time. So
He wants to draw all that negative attention,
exactly, exactly.
which is hilarious and funny. But
Okay, the
so
next was
DeSantis, right?
Robot Ron.
Robot Ron comes in.
Robot Ron.
George Santos attorneys,
No, just Soros.
George Soros attorneys must fire George Soros attorneys.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. That was his answer. Yes.
Got to throw George Soros in there.
He's the evil George Soros DAs across the country. I fired the evil George Soros DAs in Florida, and I'm gonna do it across the country.
Yep. Yeah.
I was like, okay, I guess.
Pretty anticlimactic, but
Okay.
obviously,
Well,
what would it be? How can you have a Republican debate without mentioning George Soros? Right?
true. Well, it was like right after that like tense exchange between Vivek and Pence. And then
Oh
we had,
yes, totally, totally. Everyone's
George
catching their
Soros.
breath.
Yeah.
No one's really paying attention anyway.
Right. It was
Yeah.
it's funny.
Yes.
They just like you're right. Everyone's like kind of like just relaxing from that tense action scene to just kind of be lulled back into it by George Soros.
Right.
Okay, the next part I laughed out loud. I don't know if you wrote it in your notes.
Is this from the Trump, or are you talking about what's the last guy's name? Because are you talking about the small town thing?
I don't. Oh, would one of the people we don't care about talk? Because I didn't write any notes for him.
Okay. Well, I did laugh when the guy was like, "I'm from a small town. We
Oh
need
yeah.
we need to make America more like a small town.
The North Dakota guy said
That's
that
how we
nice.
fight crime."
I
I'm
was
like,
like, okay, whatever.
that ain't gonna work. That's
Okay.
like dumbass. Why did they invite this guy to the debate?
I did laugh, but I didn't write that down.
Yeah, it was
No,
funny.
I laughed
So
at the next question. They're like, for our next question before we go to break,
right.
we want everyone to look at this. And it cuts to the monitors. And it's like, here's a live camera feed. Here's a live camera shot of
Yeah,
the Fulton County Jail, where Donald Trump tomorrow morning will go to get his picture taken. I was like, what? And it's just like a shot, a live shot of the jail from outside where like the little gate is to drive up to it. It's just
Right.
dark because it's nighttime. There's nothing happening. It's like, why the fuck am I looking at this?
But it did look like shitty. I thought, wow, it looks ominous. It looked ominous to me.
To me, it didn't even like it wasn't even a shot. So you can have the mental image of this. It wasn't even like a shot of like the jail. And you see like the big jail and like the barbed wire. It literally
It's
just looked like the parking lot where like the guard is to like, to get in and the little arm is there. Like it wasn't like an imposing shot to me.
Okay.
And it was just dark and no one was there and looked deserted. And I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm looking at for, but okay.
The one, I get, is this the same place that Giuliani got his picture taken? The Giuliani picture is just disturbing. I guess they did mugshots today of all the attorneys, and oh man, Giuliani's. I mean, he looks like a
shot.
Yeah, send it to
I don't
me
know if I saw it.
Send it to me if you find it, because it
This
is
was today.
Yeah,
You're
super
right.
good.
Oh, what the fuck? He looks like he's gonna murder someone. What the fuck?
I know
was
he looks
thinking?
like it's like a portrait from Sin City. He looks like It's crazy.
You're right. That's the perfect comparison. He looks like the corrupt politician that got captured.
He
in
does.
Sin City.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad. Why did he give such a bad mugshot? You gotta smile, right?
Yeah, it's Jenna Ellis did the smile thing. I'll bring it up so you guys can see it.
Yeah, hers looks so much better.
Oh, look, here's a twin shot with Sidney Powell too. Kind of takes away from Giuliani's madness. This is the thing. Oh God.
Sidney Powell kind of half smiled.
Does it? I know everybody hates it when I bring this up.
What?
Well, I'm going to do it anyway.
Uh-oh.
Well, I guess everyone has this idea that politicians are corrupt. So they like to see, like, they look at this image and they have a completely different vision than me.
Hmm.
This is like the corrupt politician getting what he deserves.
Hmm.
And I just think Banana Republic is what I think. I'm like, oh my
Mm.
God.
Right, right.
I mean, if we're our there's something wrong with our institutions if people, think this is something that they can get away with and are pushing the boundaries of the institution to the point where there is going to be legal action. That's a bad thing. It's also a bad thing if people are being wrongly accused and the justice system is going after people for political reasons. Those are completely different situations, right? One is people perceive there are weak rules and they can shirk the rules, and one is uh, like complete corruption. The system's completely failed and they're just going after people willy nilly. Both of those situations are bad,
Right.
and both of those situations end up in mugshots like this. So
Hmm.
I just, yeah. We talk often about, what are the signs of the institutional decay. I feel like this is one of the big signs.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
on a happier note,
So yeah, that was the funny. So anyway, so Brett Baer had a great line. He said, "We have to talk about the elephant not in the
not in the
room."
room.
Yeah, I
Wah,
like
wah,
that.
wah.
Bow, bow.
Anyone who likes puns is going to like that one because, the
Yeah,
elephant,
yeah.
like
I liked it. It was funny.
Republicans.
Republicans. Trump's also
Right.
fat. He also stampedes. It works on a lot of levels. Okay.
My top note for this section. So they
Yes.
do another schoolyard pick,
Yes. What was
raise
the
your
question?
hands.
Yeah.
And I don't, well, I don't remember the question. What was the question?
I don't either. I
Okay.
remember what the answer was, but I don't remember the question.
That's
It
funny.
was
I didn't
it
write down the
was
question either. All I wrote down was hands go up slow, look weak.
well, no, so the question was something about I don't think the question was who would pardon Trump, but it was something about who would support Trump and thinks that, he's being charged
Oh,
the
you're
charges are
right.
bullshit.
No,
Right.
who would support Trump once if he wins the nomination? That was what the
Oh,
question
that's
was.
right. Who would support Trump if he wins the nomination?
Right.
One
So
person very quickly raised their
yeah,
hands
Vivek raises his hand up high
instantly.
in the class, yeah, and
Yes.
everyone else kind of looks at each other like,
Yeah.
who's going first?
Right.
Like or actually technically who's going second, because everyone's
Right.
like, everyone's ignoring Vivek because they're like, this fucking kiss ass, this guy, this piece of shit. They're like, look, none of us like him, who cares what he does,
Hmm.
what are we gonna do?
Yep.
And they do kind of do. It's a classic psychology experiment. When people walk into the elevator and everyone is like facing in the opposite direction,
You're like, what do I do?
and you're
Yeah.
like,
What?
so I and I wish I would have screenshotted this because I don't know the order that the hands went up, but one hand goes up. Okay, just meekly. Oh, I'll raise my hand,
Hmm.
and then another person's like, ah, shit, we're doing it. We're doing it. Then another little weak, meek hand goes up. And then even in the end of it, Chris Christie kind of raises his hand and then takes it back again. He's like,
Well,
oh no, I wasn't really raising my hand. I was just doing like a thumbs down thing. I
he
was
was
doing
trying to
a.
like raise his hand to speak. I assume not to.
Oh, really?
Not. Well, that's what he said. I mean, he's been attacking
I
the shit out of Trump, so
look.
obviously he's not going to support Trump.
I feel like he. Oh, maybe you're right. Maybe he was. Maybe it was just a miscommunication.
I think that's why he took his hand down because he realized it would. He was trying to like get them to speak, and then he realized it would look like he was supporting Trump. He was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
So
Well,
the
that
people that
completely
raised
came
their
off
hand
bad.
after, so Vivek raised his hand like quickly. He's like, "Bam!" Very proud to support it. I don't remember the exact order, but the meekness was after that was the people you'd expect. The people that raised their hand that said that they would support Trump was Nikki Haley and Tim Scott.
Well, DeSantis did too, right?
Did he? I don't
I
think
think
he did.
DeSantis, yeah, I think DeSantis
Because in
did.
my mind, it was like Vivek was in the middle. He raised his hand, and then like everyone to the right of him raised their hand. And I don't remember anyone to the left of him raising their hands. So I don't remember if DeSantis raised his hand or not. We'll say DeSantis was a maybe because I don't remember.
I'm just looking for the photo because I know
Right.
that someone snapped the picture for the raising the hand
Debate
to
hand
support Trump.
raised Trump
Yeah. Anyway, we can move
Trump
on.
support. Yeah. But okay. But yeah, so another optical win for Vivek among Trump supporters because, he very clearly raised his hand.
Yeah, and everyone else, I mean, it was just way, way, way uncomfortable
Hmm.
because, and I honestly, I was thinking, I can't believe they had not thought through this question.
Well, here's what's weird. Fox News literally says the only person that didn't raise his hand was Asa Hutchinson, but that is not my recollection.
Well, there's counting Christie then, who raised his hand and tried
I
to
don't
take it back.
remember I don't remember DeSantis or Pence raising their hand.
No, they
I know,
did.
oh, maybe they kind of there were some people at the end that were kind of doing a half C, so maybe
Yeah, that's why I was like, they're
maybe that
completely
was
me.
there's like kind of this
Let's just go through them. I took notes
right.
on all of them.
Okay.
So Christie begins.
Yep.
Obviously, he does his I raised my hand, but no, wait, I didn't raise my hand. And he's like, we have to hold Trump accountable for bad behavior,
Right.
which this is where you're getting into the loyalty foundation. And there's definitely like a split loyalty thing going on. Christie's basically saying, my loyalty is to America.
Hmm.
The institutions are failing and we have to hold Trump accountable. Well, most of the
Right.
audience, though, they're loyal to Trump. So he's getting boos. It's just
Yes.
pandemonium of boos against Christie, and he can feel it. It's tangible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But he was just shitting all over Trump.
So then they move to Ramaswamy, who delivers the funniest line of the entire debate. He says, Trump is the best president of the 21st century. Look, I know there are a lot of people probably listening to us right now who
Hmm.
who believe
Agree
Trump
with
is,
that.
yeah, who agree with that, who think Trump is the best president of the 21st century. I think
Right.
it's obviously subjective. I mean, he might be the funniest president of the 21st century. I'll give him that. Like Obama was pretty funny, but I think Trump is probably funnier.
Hmm.
Bush had a joke occasionally, mild
Bush
joke
was
here and
very
there.
funny, but not intentionally.
Right. Clinton, I mean, he could play the saxophone, but I don't
That's
remember
true.
him delivering excellent jokes. So,
Right. He had a couple witty
right.
retorts here and there.
So he basically says all these indictments are just politicized, and
That's when
they
he called Chris Christie a hypocrite.
well doesn't know Chris Christie calls him a hypocrite, right? Because he
No, no,
says
no.
you contradicted yourself in your book.
Yeah,
You
okay. So they both call each other hypocrites. So
okay? So
after
there's
he
a
says
hypocrite off.
is a hypocrite off. So after he says Trump is the best president of the 21st century, and says that all the charges are bullshit, he attacks Chris Christie because he's like Chris Christie is a hypocrite because he's claiming that Trump is just running on anger and vengeance, and Chris Christie's whole campaign is based on anger and vengeance against Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And that's when he delivered that very good line, at least optical line, where he said, "If you want to see bashing of Trump, change the channel to MSNBC. I'm not running for the president of MSNBC. I'm running for president of the United States of America."
Right.
And so implying that Chris Christie was running for president of MSNBC. And then
Right.
that's when Chris Christie then fired back saying that Vivek made him laugh. And then that's when all the cacophony of boos, the entire arena erupted into boos at Chris Christie for attacking Vivek after Vivek uh, defended Trump so strongly. That's
Right.
what it was. So many boos that Brett Baer had to literally turn around and tell the audience to shut the fuck up.
Yeah. They said, well, you're taking forever here. We have to move on. Stop
Yes.
booing.
And then Christie said that Vivek was the real flip flopper, the real hypocrite, because in his book, supposedly, he said he came out hard against Trump and criticized Trump for violating the rule of law, but now he's defending him. So that was the accusation he levied at Vivek. And
Right.
then Vivek tried to like weasel out of it by saying, well, no, technically, I didn't change my position. I said Trump was wrong, but I didn't say what he did was illegal. Like he tried to do some like move.
Right, legalese. He tried to pull the legalese.
Right. Like, oh, I didn't agree with him, but I didn't say he committed a crime. Yeah. Technically, I didn't change my position.
Right,
So, and then Chris Christie criticized Trump for Trump making some comment about saying that he would suspend the Constitution. So,
right. And then
and then
we moved to Scott, right?
Sleepy,
Sleepy Scott, yeah.
Sleepy Scott, Sleepy Tim.
He says Pence did the right thing. They're weaponizing the justice system. There are SWAT teams attacking pro-lifers.
Yeah, so I wasn't familiar with what he was referencing there, but
Right. Then
yeah. So
we.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, to be clear, so the important part is he said they asked him, did Pence do the right thing on January 6th by not throwing out the votes? And he
Right.
said yes. He said yes. And
Is
then
this where the Pence question came in? It did come in this section.
this is
right?
where the Pence question came in.
Right.
Well, Pence, we're almost there because then Vivek interrupted Tim Scott and called him a pussy. He said, listen here, Sleepy Tim, you a pussy ass bitch.
Mm-hmm.
He said just like that. Okay. He said, I'm a real alpha dog because you talking about how they're weaponizing the Justice Department. Well, you got to be brave and you got to shut down the entire FBI, motherfucker.
Really? I don't remember
Yes,
that.
he made a comment about shutting down the FBI. I was like, holy shit.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
So Vivek made a comment about shutting down the entire, or like completely rehauling the entire FBI. I was like, oh my God. So, and then DeSantis came in.
Yeah, I
and
was focused on the DeSantis moment.
Okay. So then we had
more dodging.
Robot Ron. He activated,
The
the
dodge
classic
mode.
dodge protocol, 2.0, 3.0 maybe at this point, because he's dodged so many times, and he would not answer the question on whether Pence did the right or wrong thing on January 6th.
Yeah. Do you think Pence did the right thing on January 6th? Robot Ron dodges. Right.
Yes. He went,
This election is about the future.
he looked directly at Brett Baer in the camera and he said, "You can't touch me." And he did a little like Twinkle Toes dance like right off the stage. Okay.
Well, this is where, look, the question is a difficult question because it is between loyalty to America and its institutions or loyalty to Trump. And no one Robot Ron doesn't want to answer that question. That's a losing question.
So actually, okay, so here's
why
what happened.
can't you have loyalty to both?
That's true. But here's what happened. This is an actual real account of what happened, okay? Ron DeSantis, he pulled out a boombox and he played Can't Touch Me, okay? And then he twinkle toed danced off the stage, but right before he got to the curtain, okay? He was like so close. He was just inches away from freedom.
Right.
Papa Pence came in.
Who stopped him?
He bounced. He somehow didn't realize that Papa Pence had cut him off, and he bounced against Papa Pence's chest.
Papa Pence had an eye on him. He's like, I see what's going on over here. This guy doesn't want to answer this fucking question.
That's right. And he grabbed DeSantis by the ear like a small child. He dragged him on stage by the ear, and he threw him back against the podium, and he said, "You motherfucker. You little child,
I know.
Be a man and answer the fucking question."
Pence is like, I was there, motherfucker. I was there. They chanted, hang Mike Pence, and you can't even answer this fucking question.
And then he took out a Bible and he bitch slapped DeSantis across the face.
He picked up the Bible from the ground next to Nikki Haley.
He dusted it off. He kissed it. Then he slapped DeSantis across the face with it.
Exactly. Right.
And he drew blood.
Now,
he said, I will use the blood of my enemies to re-baptize this Bible.
Now, did Robot Ron finally escape his dodge programming and answer the question?
He sort of did.
Kind of.
He kind of did. He was kind of forced to.
Yeah.
So when pressed, after Pence gave him a total spanking. Okay.
Yes. Totally.
DeSantis was like, fine, Dad. God, I guess what you did was right. Jeez.
I'm not trying to start any beef here with anyone.
Yeah, the line was he said was, I have no beef with him, meaning Pence. I have no beef with him.
Right.
And he said he did his duty. He didn't really say if what he did was right or wrong. He said he did his duty. He didn't
Right.
have any beef with him. And then he pivoted again to talk about, and then he pivoted again, criticizing the question, saying it was a waste of time for Brett Baer to ask the question.
Totally. We got to think about the
Right.
future here. We
Right.
shouldn't be arguing about this stuff. Why are you asking tough questions in a presidential debate?
And then Brett Baer fired back at DeSantis, saying, well, Trump is destroying the polls right now, so I think it's a pertinent question to ask.
Did he really? Oh, I
Yes.
forgot that. Yeah.
He worded it not exactly that way, but
Okay.
essentially he was like he like
I
pulled out
like
a
your
chart and was
wording
like
better.
he pulled out Brett Baer pulled out a chart and he's like here's Trump's polls. Here's you all the way down at the floor. So I think it's important to ask this question, bitch. And then he
Yeah.
rolled up the chart and he slapped DeSantis again in the face.
Then the only reason Hutchinson is even on the
I didn't even write anything. What did Hutchinson even say? I stopped paying attention. Whenever
What do
they
you mean?
talked,
This
I
is
just
the only
fell asleep.
look. This is the only reason he's
Okay.
in the debate.
What do you say?
Fuck Trump. January 6th was a mess.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
He's a
Well, there you go. Good
Trump
for
is a
him.
piece of shit.
Good for him.
I'm not going to support that motherfucker. He can
Okay.
he can burn in hell. Isn't that
Yes, he
basically
deserved to die. I hope he burns in hell.
Isn't that basically the only reason he's I think that's the only reason they wanted him on the debate stage.
Okay, maybe.
They had to have one never Trumper on
Well,
there,
Chris,
right?
what do you mean? Chris Christie is the never Trump.
Mhm. Oh yeah. It's
Because then Chris
funny.
Christie came out and he wasn't that hard, but he said he completely supported Pence. Very strong supporters of Pence.
Right.
So
then we go to Christie again.
yeah.
Sensing, oh, this is my time to say another fuck Trump. Look,
Yep.
people are on my side now. No one booed him. How come you booed me? He senses a moment to brown nose Pence a little bit.
Yep.
And he delivers a sermon about how Pence did the right thing and
Right.
fuck Trump and Pence is an American hero.
True.
And make me vice president if somehow you pull this thing off.
That's true.
So, and then Nikki Haley came in and said Pence did the right thing.
Yep.
And I guess she was the first one to really kind of draw blood against Trump, saying America doesn't want a rematch between Trump and Biden. And
Yeah.
said Trump can't win the general election. He's a fucking maniac. I was like,
Yep.
wow.
Which is weird because again,
Holy
it's like,
cow.
I guess she's not running for vice president.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was very shocked that she said that. And to be clear, in my colorful rendition of Mike Pence dragging DeSantis back on stage, he didn't just drag DeSantis back on stage and force him to. He threw out a direct challenge to everyone to answer that question.
Yeah.
About
He
whether
did.
they thought he did the right thing or not. And unfortunately, the one person I was the most curious to hear his answer did a total dodge and didn't answer that question, and that was Vivek.
Right.
Didn't even ask him. He just completely melded into the background and went camouflage.
Yeah.
And they just forgot he was there for a second or something because they didn't ask the one person.
He activated chameleon mode. He's like,
Yes.
oh, I don't want to answer this question.
Right.
This question is going to get me in trouble. I love Trump.
He's like, he went to the GM. He's like, I activate stealth. And I'm like, you're in the middle of a brightly lit room. There's like 1,000 people watching you in person and millions of people watching you live. You cannot use stealth. And he's like, bitch, I rolled a 20, motherfucker. And they're like, well, I guess.
Vivek did throw out the Will Pence pardon Trump.
Well, that's the pivot,
Yeah.
right? And so then, so after Nikki Haley said what she said, Vivek, maybe to kind of prevent himself from being asked this question,
said,
he challenged Mike Pence to whether he would pardon Donald Trump.
Right. Which Pence's answer was kind of interesting. Because he's like, sit down, schoolboy. This is how pardons work. You never delivered a pardon in your fucking life. I've delivered millions of them. You have to have guilt, conviction, contrition, like all these different steps involved in the pardoning process. Yeah. Which was kind of interesting. But then he settled on Yeah, I'll think about it. Right? Eh, it's I'll think about it.
I see. I disagree. I think it was a bad answer in terms of, well, bad answer for Trump supporters because it's
Hmm.
very clearly the answer is no,
Right.
right? Because if he says no, I'll think about it. Yeah, what does that mean? I'll think about it means no.
Right.
So he had a big no. Though, as I said earlier, he smartly tied him overturning the election to Kamala saying that she wouldn't be able to do that for Joe Biden, which I thought was smart. So he kind of saved himself at the end after saying no. Essentially, he wouldn't. Okay,
Well,
now
he
we
did.
move on.
Well, no, before Ukraine, he did frame the decision between the Constitution and Donald Trump, I think, the most clearly here in the end.
Yes,
Because
that's
he
true.
said, look, I had a clear decision to make here between choosing Donald Trump, who's asking me to do this crazy thing, and the Constitution of the United States and all the greatness of America. And he said he told Trump, "Fuck no, I choose America,"
Well, he
which
actually we
is
yeah
the which is the loyalty framing. That's super interesting. So,
we actually forgot. We both forgot. And I just remembered because you
mhm.
saying this. He actually did something even. He pivoted, not pivoted. He took an even harder stance because when Vivek challenged him to whether he'd pardon Trump, he turned to Vivek. He looked deeply into his eyes and he said, "Let me tell you about a man named Jesus Christ."
Yeah, no, I
And Mike Pence pulled out his Bible again, and the light shone down from the heavens, and birds flew. And he said, "Let me tell you about the Lord God."
look. The entire crowd
And
kind of
suddenly
had a
the
not
backdrop,
again.
and suddenly the backdrop fell behind him, and like a black choir like appeared from nowhere. I started going, "Hallelujah, Jesus, hallelujah!" And his whole opening statement, I forgot about this. It was all about how like he swore an oath not to America, but to God. He
Yep.
swore an oath to God. He put his hand on the Bible, and he swore an oath to God to protect the Constitution. And so, fuck Donald Trump. I swore to God, not to Donald Trump, bitch.
The whole the whole crowd basically had a oh not again. This is going to take
Yeah.
forever. Because
Yes.
when
True.
they had passed him over, they were ready to move on to Ukraine, and Pence was like, "Wait a second, I was there, and I have not answered
Yeah.
the question about what would Pence have done."
Right.
Yeah. So there was,
Right.
oh shit, this is going to take forever. It did
Yep.
take forever, but ultimately, I thought the framing was interesting. So
It was interesting. I don't know if it's effective. I mean, I thought it was entertaining, but I don't know if it's
it
effective.
depends upon how many evangelicals are in the Republican Party these days.
I
I mean,
don't.
we have such
Mhm.
an internet bias because
I
we're
know. I
dealing with
know.
people who are
Bunch of
young,
atheists. A bunch of you dirty atheists out there.
right? Young
Yeah.
Republicans online. So, I mean,
Yeah, but I don't know if even religious evangelical Christians will view it like oath to God versus oath to Trump. I don't know if they'll agree with that framing.
we brought up the Bernie Sanders divide in the Democratic primary, right? Everyone thought Bernie Sanders had all this young energy, and
Yeah.
ultimately they settled on Biden because the old folks showed up and voted. I just think on the Republican side, look, the Democratic Party skews young. On the Republican side,
No, obviously not. Yeah.
yeah, it's like the old people are going to show up and it's going to be the establishment candidate. Like Vivek doesn't stand a chance.
No, I mean
Yeah,
I don't disagree with you.
yeah.
I mean I think Pence will definitely get a small boost in the polling from his performance, but
Oh,
I just
we'll have to check it out tomorrow,
yeah.
definitely.
So I will be curious.
So we're on to Ukraine.
Ukraine. The
I
question
can't.
was sending more money to Ukraine.
Right. Yeah. Would you stop supporting Ukraine?
Well, no, it was would you send more money? No. Well, I
Oh,
guess that
okay.
is stop supporting in a different way of saying it, but
Right. Ramaswamy goes first and says,
no,
"Oh, he didn't? Who?
DeSantis went first.
Oh, he did. Okay.
That's how boring his answer was. You forgot.
I did. I guess. I
DeSantis
do.
gave a
This is
very
where
boring answer. Yes.
Ramaswamy did the finger in the wind thing, which was just. I mean, okay, that
Finger in
was.
the wind?
You didn't see that
What do you mean by that?
when DeSantis was answering,
Yeah.
Ramaswamy put his finger up like he was trying to see which way the wind was
Are you?
blowing.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
He fucking like licked his finger and was like, "What
Yeah.
direction?"
Totally. Well, I
Wow.
don't know if he did the finger lick, but he was definitely doing the. You're just as DeSantis is answering the question. Ramaswamy basically says you're just trying to cater to public opinion here.
That's retarded. What do you mean? Vivek is 100% trying to cater to the Republican opinion on this.
Well, I this was a contentious back and forth because you had again a split in the Republican Party between the isolationists and the
Yes.
Team America.
But I think I thought because I checked it out before we started streaming. I think the most recent polling is majority of Republicans are against sending
Really?
continual aid. Yeah, something like 60% or something.
So
So,
many of the candidates tried to frame it between, obviously we need to do what we can at home, which is the Loyalty Foundation. They're saying, our American citizens should come
well, okay.
first.
Let's go specifics.
Okay, go ahead.
So DeSantis started. He had a super fucking boring answer.
Of
He just
course.
said Europe needs to pull its weight.
Yeah,
He activated Dodge Protocol 7.25.
exactly.
Didn't want to answer the
Look, I
fucking
don't need to do
question.
anything. Europe can do
This
it.
Yeah, and it just said like, well, I'm not going to really answer whether we should send more money to Ukraine, but I think Europe should send more money to Ukraine. And
Yeah.
we're like, okay, I
Let
guess.
them pay the bill.
Right. So then Vivek answered, and he said very clearly that he would not support increased sending money to Ukraine.
Right.
And he did he dusted off. He's like Chat GPT, write me the perfect Republican slogan for not sending money to Ukraine. And Chat GPT is like, here you go. And he said, we need to protect our borders, not the Ukrainian borders.
Right.
And then
Yes.
that was in his head. And then he said that we were driving Russia into China's arms. And
You
I
didn't
guess
agree with any of the shit
no, I disagree with all this. I think it's all
Ramaswamy
fucking
was
retarded,
saying.
by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
But I feel like, and this is what my notes were. I feel like Vivek is smart Trump, and that he has the ability to kind of like listen to the mob and then focus its energy into what they want to hear, but without Trump's shortcomings.
Trump's answer is 10 times better on Ukraine, though.
What was Trump saying? Oh, Trump says I'll end the war in a day or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah, I
exactly.
agree with that. I agree
He's
with that.
like, everyone wins.
Sure, but
Look,
but the
the
question was
war is over. We
specifically
don't have to spend the money. Everyone is
right,
happy. They all live happily ever after.
right.
That's a
But
better answer.
well, it is, but it wouldn't really answer the question about would you send more money to
Ramaswamy
Ukraine?
is like, let's just leave them all for dead. Who cares?
I mean, a lot of Republicans are like that. So, I
Yeah,
don't know.
but that's not a good answer.
I
Trump's
agree
answer is
with
way
you. I
better.
agree with you. Okay, maybe you're right. Maybe smart Trump isn't the right way to phrase it.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
He's like internet Trump, who doesn't get mad or say like it's weird. He says crazy shit, but he says like crazy policy shit. Trump says like crazy shit in a different way. That makes sense.
Anyway, so let's move on
Anyway, okay,
to
Adam's agree. So then, okay,
Chris
so that was his answer.
Chris Christie moves into
Right.
the he does the finger thing with DeSantis. They have their little tiff, and then Chris Christie comes in with the horrors of Ukraine. I went to Ukraine. I saw the bodies. I saw the rapes. I saw the torture, the cut off ears, the homeless children, all that stuff. So he's totally appealing to the Care Foundation. He's basically saying, we need to stand by these people.
Yeah, and he actually used the word rape. That
He
was
did.
not. He
Yeah.
said that there are Russian soldiers stealing children and raping Ukrainian women. So I was like,
Yep.
holy shit. He was so very, very, very strongly in support of sending more money to Ukraine. So
Right. Yeah.
good for him.
Who's next? Pence.
Pence.
America can help
This is when
Ukraine. Right.
Pence like he turned around, he turned back, he looked like the general from Star Wars. He's
Oh
wearing
yeah,
the
yeah.
full like the Empire outfit.
The Admiral.
The Admiral, yes, Admiral for his name. The General Tark or whatever.
He said America can help Ukraine and make America great.
That's right.
We can do both. And he said, Ramaswamy, why are you such a little pussy? Why the fuck are you such a little wimp? You want to run home with your tail between your legs?
Mm-hmm.
We have friends in Ukraine.
Yep.
We have plenty. We're America. We're the best place in the world. We
Hmm.
don't run like scared little bitches, Ramaswamy. And then Ramaswamy
Oh wait,
tried.
before you get to Ramaswamy. So after he put on his black gloves and he clenched his fist, he said, I think this is a direct quote because I wrote down, he said, America can both be the leader of the free world and protect our borders. And
Right.
he looked at Vivek and he said, your plan is the giveaway bitch plan. You're giving it away. And he said, and it's actually as a pretty good rhetoric strategy. He said, this is a giveaway to Putin because you think Putin will stop at Ukraine. No, once he has Ukraine, he's going to march into a NATO country. And then we're going to have to send American soldiers to fight and die against Putin.
Oh, you're right. You're totally right.
And I was like, oh, okay, wow.
He
I mean,
was
I don't know
like,
if any of that's true, but it's good rhetoric.
your pussy bitch foreign policy is going to get us into World War III.
I'm actually kind of shocked he didn't say appeasement.
Oh, that would have been good.
That would have been the line, yeah.
So I felt Ramaswamy completely lost this exchange.
Oh,
Was
he
that your
got
take?
annihilated in this exchange. Yes.
Okay, so he was
Yes.
destroyed. Yeah. This is
Right.
when I messaged you. I'm like, oh man, that was crazy.
Yep.
So
So Vivek
Rama
said
right, yeah. Go
that
ahead.
he did, and it's so funny because I just looked up the clip. I forget why. He did the classic Obama Mitt Romney debate mistake.
Right.
Remember when Obama was debating Mitt Romney? Mitt Romney said Russia is the number one threat, and Obama laughed in his
Laughs.
face
You're right.
and he said, "The Cold War's over, dumb fuck. The USSR is gone."
Right.
And then
Yep.
2 years later, Russia invades and takes Crimea.
Right.
Right? So
He did say that shit. He's like,
he said yes.
we're driving
Yes.
Russia into the arms of China. The Cold War's over.
He said the USSR is gone. The Cold War is over. And then
Right.
Pence had a very quick-witted reply. He says, I'm so sorry, Vivek, that it offends you that I called Russia communist.
Oh, you're right. Oh, that was good. That was brilliant. Yeah.
And then, yes, that was a very good response.
Implying that
Yes.
Vivek is a communist.
Yes. But then Vivek had another quick response to that, where he said communist China is the problem, which is a good response because then it's showing that he's not afraid to label someone communist.
Right. Oh yeah. That
So
is good.
he pivoted and said, no, you're pushing Russia in the arms of communist China. Communist China is the problem. And then Pence responded saying, you complete child, you utter dumb fuck, go back to the table. Because if we don't do anything with Ukraine, China's going to invade Taiwan.
Right.
And that's
yeah.
when he looked into the camera and he said, peace through strength.
Love it.
And every neocon had a fucking masterful erection. The table of every neocon rose 3 inches at that moment. And every right-wing populist said, I'm never voting for Pence ever again. Because they don't like any of this fucking warhawk rhetoric anymore.
Oh my God. I gotta see what Jimmy Dore's response to this exchange is tomorrow.
I'm sure he's like, Vivek is a hero. Wow, Mike Pence is just the military industrial complex.
So then Nikki Haley steps in, and Nikki Haley goes on the, we have friends in Ukraine line. Well, we have to protect our friends.
Wait. You're not setting this up right. Okay. So after Pence just like bloodied Vivek's nose, he just slapped around Vivek and then punched him in the nose. Okay.
Right.
Nikki Haley comes over and is like, can I help you here? Can I help you?
Yeah, no. She's like, he's lying on the ground. She comes up and she's like, look,
kicking him.
I see a spot here. Look, let me kick him in the nuts. This is the moment when I was like, oh, DeSantis is totally getting away with like murder here.
Mm-hmm.
But
he was dodging. You don't understand. That was
totally
everything he did.
The dodge protocol did work. Yes, exactly. Yes. So the interesting part of this exchange is Nikki Haley comes off with some like boring numbers about our defense budget or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to help our friends, and stuff I basically agree with that. We're not spending too much money over there, and obviously our commitments are important. And Ramaswamy comes out and calls her basically a corporate shill and says she's auditioning for a job at Raytheon and
Lockheed Martin.
Lockheed Martin. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Which is interesting, being as we've just metaphorically placed him on the ground and her kicking him in the nuts, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, as he's getting kicked in the nuts, you corporate shill.
Right. And then in response to that, then she then stomped his face in
Mm-hmm.
because so the metaphorical kicking of the nuts was her saying Vivek is choosing Putin, a murderer, over a good American country like Ukraine.
Right.
Okay, that was how she described it.
Right.
I was like, holy
People are
shit.
going to doubt that one, but
Yeah, I
anyway.
thought that her message, I thought her calling Ukraine a good American country was a misstep, but I think
Right.
people will forget that because they'll just hear that him saying that, or her saying that she chose a murderer, choosing to side with a murderer. And then when Vivek said what he said, he tried to interrupt her and call her like the Lockheed Martin shill, and she just slapped him in the face and interrupted him back, and he totally backed down. And she's like, "You're just fucking weak on Israel. You're a
Oh,
weak
you're
ass
right.
little bitch. And you're a fucking asshole for attacking everyone, you fucking asshole."
You're right.
And he was like, "Okay." He didn't respond. He just kind of got slapped down. I was
Right.
like, oh, wow, okay. So I mean, Vivek completely got like beat the crap on that. Like he lost all that exchange handily. The Pence and the Nikki Haley one, they just beat the crap out of him. So,
Right. Okay. So then they beat up on Ramaswamy a bit, and DeSantis does
well, let me
come
just to be
in.
clear, even if you agree with the isolationist stance, his defense of that position was very weak. So,
Their their defense of our need to be in Ukraine was very strong as well,
yes,
because they kept
rhetorically
throwing
strong.
in
Yeah.
all the potential disasters, calling Putin a
Murderer,
murderer,
rapist.
talking about the bodies and shit. I just
Yes.
you look like a pussy if you're an isolationist after that exchange.
Yeah.
I mean, if you would, especially as a Republican, you're like, what the fuck? Team America, military first.
Yeah, he didn't even if you support the isolation position, he did not do a good job in that exchange, just like the rhetoric and the how it all came off persuasion wise.
So in my notes here next, I have DeSantis comes in and says defending America's first priority, and Ukraine money should go to the border. Like, how does
That's
that
what he
play
said.
after
Yeah.
this exchange? Kind
So
of
but
makes him look weak.
that was the Dodge protocol because yeah, he said which he said earlier, which is that we shouldn't be sending money to the troops in Ukraine. We should be sending our troops to the US border. And then Nikki tried to, and this was actually a good move. Robot Ron actually had a good response here because Nikki tried to interrupt him, saying, and she said, "We can do both." And he slapped her away and he said, "But we're not, bitch."
Oh yeah, that was a good comeback.
And she kind of just quieted after that. So,
She said we can do both, and he said, "Yeah, well, we're not. Why aren't
yeah,
we? Well, why aren't we?"
right. And then he said, and this
But
was
the
people,
logical answer that she
yeah,
should have said is because, well, the Democrats are in charge. They want an open border. You
that would have,
dumbass.
yeah, that would have been the
You
good retort.
dumbass.
Because Biden's president, idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
But then this people will be talking about this. This is what they'll be using to attack DeSantis with tomorrow if someone wants to attack him. He said, "We're not going to send troops to Ukraine. We're going to send troops to our southern borders, and we're going to leave the drug pushers stone cold dead."
Did he really say that? Wow.
That was his exact words.
Hardcore.
Yes, he said that they were going to send troops to the southern border to shoot and kill the drug pushers. And I actually looked it up. This is a line he's used several times in the past. So
Really?
it was a
Wow.
prepared line, yes.
So yeah, we drifted off into secure the border and finish the wall with Ukraine money. Like
Yes. And shoot him
fentanyl is
dead.
fentanyl is a bigger problem. Yeah.
And then we had Tim Schnooze.
Oh yeah.
Sleepy Tim. Do you remember what Sleepy Tim's solution to all this was?
Secure the border and finish the wall
Yes, but do you remember how he's going to fund it?
with Ukraine money.
No, he said he was going to fire IRS agents
Oh, okay.
and use that money to hire more border agents. I'm like, okay, buddy. All right.
That's a job. That's the way
Interesting.
to do it.
Right. Okay.
Anyway,
The next question
was border
was,
invasion.
would you send troops to invade Mexico?
Right.
And
When I
DeSantis
said
said,
border invasion, you guys
yes,
thought I meant
the
people
other way
invading
around.
people invading our border, right?
No,
No.
no, we're going to invade Mexico.
It's
The question
us
is
invading the
this.
Mexican border.
Are you going to send troops to invade Mexico to stop crime or whatever,
Right.
whatever you want?
Right.
And actually, Robot Ron, he turned off his dodge protocol and he answered a fucking question for once.
He
And
did.
he said, eliminate, destroy, eliminate, must
So
destroy
he's still so
Mexico.
he's still a robot,
He's still a
but now
robot.
he's a deadly robot.
Yes, now he's a deadly robot. Yes, he started screaming, eliminate, eliminate. He started shooting lasers out of
Right.
his eyes. And he walked into the crowd. He started beating up random people that looked like they could have been Mexican in the crowd. And everyone was
Oh
screaming.
no. Oh
And then
no.
quickly you saw DeSantis' handlers run out and they like opened up his back and they like fixed this programming. And then then he slowly and awkwardly walked back to stage and everyone pretended like that didn't just happen.
So he's in favor of sending troops to the border. He's all, kids are dying of fentanyl. Someone ate one pill and died right in my very presence.
I was holding a man dying of a fentanyl overdose. Yes.
Right.
No, it wasn't just the border. He said he was advocating, he said that he would send troops. I think he even literally said day one. I think he said day one, he'd be willing to send troops to invade Mexico to take out the drug cartels. So
Right.
he had the strongest stance on this there.
So Pence answered that he would also do this.
Well, he gave he gave the good rhetoric. He said, "We locked down the border, and Biden threw it open again."
Right. Yeah.
And then, but he said that what he said was not that the U.S. would invade Mexico. He said that the U.S. military would be happy to work with the Mexican military to attack cartels.
Boo.
But, yeah, I know.
Boring.
Classic. We want him to invade the country. Don't send. We don't want you to invade. Protect Ukraine from Russia. We don't want you to invade the country at home, right?
This is when he had that cringy humility line that completely tanked with the audience. Do you remember that?
No, I don't. What was that?
He said, we reduced illegal immigration by 90%, and he's like going on about how he's the guy with all the experience.
Mm.
And he wants to humbly tell everyone how amazing he will be, and everyone's like, oh, we've been
Okay,
going
Grandpa.
on for like 20 minutes here. This
Right.
doesn't sound like a humility type speech. So, and he kind of caught himself midway through thinking, nothing I have said here seems humble.
Right.
So then we moved on to Chris Christie.
Chris Christie.
Right. Which he kind of dodged a bit. He was like, oh, we just stop him from coming in. And
Yeah, he gave a very boring answer.
sure,
Yeah.
he said we'll detain them. And
Yep.
the moderator said, well, what are you going to do after you detain them? And he's like, she asked, would you deport them?
Yeah, he
And
said
he's
yes.
like, sure.
Yeah.
Send him back.
Sir.
So then we moved on to education, which was kind of a boring section, I thought.
Well, I don't agree.
Okay. What was your take on education?
So they asked education, and then Vivek's up first, and he said he wanted to throw out. He literally
Right.
wanted to
Ban the
shut
Department
down.
of Education.
He wanted to destroy the Federal Department of Education. I was like, what?
But that's his stance. That's been his stance
I
forever. So,
guess I know that's yeah. It's a stupid fucking stance, but okay.
right.
He wants to, and then he kind of like rattled off. I didn't write them all down. He rattled off. He wanted to shut down a bunch of other federal government agencies from
Right.
existing completely. Um, I
He
was like,
wants a
okay.
civics test for voting. He's mad
He
about fatherlessness.
he want yeah. And this is where Adam got really mad. He wanted every kid in high school to have to pass the civics test that immigrants have to take to immigrate to this country and presumably to vote.
Right.
So I was like, whoa, okay. But then, yeah, then he started to pivot back to more standard Republican talking points. Government, yeah, he said the government pays to not have a father in the house, which people will like. But he said that a lot. And then he had the big applause line where he said, the nuclear family is the greatest form of governance in mankind. Everyone went, yay.
Yeah,
So everyone liked that one.
I agree. He's still
Uh,
an insane person, but
I agree, but he's going to do very well with the Trump base.
so, and the only other notable thing that I have from that section is Nikki Haley came out against transgender women in sports.
She did. That's true. She did.
She said that women in sports is the women's issue of our time and that biological boys don't belong in the locker room. I guess they belong in their own locker room, right?
There you go.
And
And then what I have another from that section was so
okay.
Brett Baer asked Pence if he supported this like an intelligence, some kind of test, some kind of intelligence test. And Pence made the joke, everyone in DC and
Oh
Washington should have
yeah.
to pass an intelligence test. But then he said he did a side-eyed swipe at Vivek and he said, we need a president who isn't too old. And he looked directly at Vivek and said, or too young.
Yeah, he did.
And he looked at him and said, look at that little wee lad over there. You can still see he's wearing a diaper. He can't even grow a beard.
We need to fix education. We don't need a president who's still in school.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. So then Vivek kind of fired back and he kind of he didn't really directly address what he said. He said he kind of like started talking about the working class.
Well, this is when he said that we need a new generation of leadership, right?
Yes,
He
that's true.
basically owned it, which was good.
That's true. He did own it. He said the working class was tired of like hearing the Pence kind of old rhetoric. And this is where and this is why I said it was interesting because earlier in the conversation, earlier in the debate, Pence had kind of used Reagan as a stand-in for tradition. Like we need to go back to traditional conservative values like Reagan. And here, Vivek, you said that I'm going to kind of use the Reagan energy that was like the revolutionary energy of the 80s. So they kind of both used Reagan in completely opposite ways. I thought that
Right.
was funny.
This is also where Pence said Vivek has never voted or has only voted twice. He called him
Yes.
out on that.
Yes.
Like, you want to be a leader like Reagan? You've never even voted.
Right.
You dumbass.
Yep. Yep. And then they had the lightning round.
Right.
It was
Actually
funny. There's
I have all of these under the lightning round, so
oh okay. Well, I guess this
yeah.
was so. There's a part. It's funny because they started arguing. I think Vivek and Penn started arguing back and forth, and Brett was like, all you motherfuckers, shut up! All you, shut up! I said this is the lightning round, not the rolling thunder round."
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
I
was like,
remember
very
that.
spread over here. And then Sleepy Tim turned and he said,
I wrote Scott keeps talking at the wrong time. What a goof. Because I remember Scott kept trying to get in on the
yes,
action when the Rolling Thunder was taking place, and it just
yes.
wasn't working out.
No one cares about Sleepy Tim. I tell you, he sounds like Chappelle doing the white guy voice. It's just you can't get it out of your head when you hear it. Okay.
That's horrible.
So Sleepy Tim is like, well, we need to break the backs of the teacher unions, blah, 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 blah,
Right,
blah.
right,
Teacher
right.
union bad, blah.
Jesus saves, but teachers unions
It's,
suck.
yeah, right. Heard it all before. And then for some reason they asked, I don't know why the hell they asked this. They asked DeSantis if he supported mandatory military service, which I
Right.
don't.
And I thought, oh, this is interesting. This is Sitch's question here.
Well, first of all, I don't. I support mandatory civic service or military service, but I don't know why they asked him that. Like if because he just said no, like obviously not. So I don't know like if he had said something that related to that, but he said no. He didn't support mandatory military service. It's like okay.
I thought he did great on this question because he pivoted to the
Hmm.
Loyalty Foundation. He's like, I, Robot Ron, signed up after 9/11.
That's true. He did do that. Yeah.
I did my duty.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did do that. I mean, he was a good answer, except of course it's Robot Ron, so you have to knock off half the points for
You have
the
to discount. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, for half the points for the tone of voice he uses and the lack of charisma. So,
But
and then
good for
we
him, right? I
yep.
mean, he did
And
serve in the
then
military.
we landed on
Chris
Chris
Christie
Christie.
for the weirdest question of the night. Chris Christie's like, "Why are you asking me this stupid fucking question?"
But it was I forget who the lady was that was with Brett Bear. She's
Right.
like, "So, how do you feel about aliens?"
Yeah. UFOs. You gonna tell the
Right.
American people what's what, or are you gonna hide it like everyone else?
Chris Christie actually gave a fantastic answer to this question because first of all, he mocked the question in a playful way. He said, "Oh my God, you're giving me the UFO question," and so everyone laughed, including the moderator who asked the question. So he was able to like ridicule the question without like belittling the moderator. So it was very good rhetorically. And then he played it very well. He had
Because
the
he
perfect
pivoted.
he had the perfect answer to this question. I was shocked because when I watched this, I was like, how would you answer? This is why I would never be a politician. He had the perfect answer to this. I've never thought this. He's like, listen, when I'm president of the United States, he said, in order to be president of the United States, you have to be honest. And when he said that, he pulled out a life-size doll of Donald Trump, just so you knew what he was
Right.
saying, right?
And he
And
pointed
he
right to
and he
him.
pointed out and he said, when you're president, you have to be honest, not like this fucking orange
Right.
bastard, but you need to be honest. And when it comes to talking about aliens or anything else, you have to be truthful with American people, not like this guy.
Right. And then he pulled out a marker and he wrote liar on his forehead.
That's right. He wrote liar. Then he pulled out a gun and he shot the Trump doll in the face. Then he pulled out a chainsaw and he chopped up into little pieces. And the chainsaw said truth on the blade.
Oh my God. That's
And
good.
then everyone was cheering. So he threw the chainsaw into the crowd, but then it was a
Right.
chainsaw. So people were like, oh shit. It's like chopping people up as it fell down.
They all ran out of the way, but a little
That's right.
girl got.
The
No, it's
little
not.
girl got fucking cut in half. And unfortunately, it was so violent and bloody and brutal that that's where they had the end of the debate. And that was the end of the debate,
Unfortunately.
unfortunately.
I
So,
mean, unfortunately not, because the last section was kind of boring. But there's one thing before we move on
right.
to the proud to be an American section. I did notice, and I wondered, because obviously the rules of the debate here are if you are mentioned by somebody else, you will get a chance to respond. And I felt like Chris Christie in the final moments of the debate threw a bone to Sleepy Tim Scott.
So he
And
can
Tim
respond.
Scott he totally got snubbed. He
Yep.
totally got snubbed in his UFO diatribe. He's like, and Tim totally got this right. And I think he winked.
Yep.
Like, you're next up, Tim. Give him your
Yep.
speech.
Yep.
And they went to commercial break. I don't know if they snubbed him or not, but it was pretty funny.
No, it's like so. Basically, what happened was so he throws it the bone to Tim. Tim starts talking, and as he's like opening his mouth, he's like, it cuts the commercial.
Oh man.
You're like,
They
this is a
didn't
good time to
even
cut the commercial.
they didn't even mention it. They should have put the camera on Tim.
And
You know,
then
with his
and then
with his finger up. Oh,
Yeah,
me.
he's like, cuts the commercial, and then when the commercials end, you see he just finished speaking. And Brett was like, "That was a very wonderful answer, Mr. Scott."
That's
Anyway,
so
or Senator
bad.
Scott. Anyway,
I do feel like they were kind of bending over backwards to help Tim Scott out.
he's so sleepy and boring. It's like
I
no one
know.
cares.
They were like, okay, now unfortunately we have to hear from Tim Scott. Tim.
Right.
So then we move on to the final delivery of their, I guess it's their outro, their
I took no
closing
notes on it because
statement.
I found them all kind of boring, but
Okay, I was going to ask.
yeah,
I took notes, but nothing really.
nothing jumped out at me. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing was super special. Um, Ramaswamy gave his basic Trump speeches. There are only two genders. I believe in
Hmm.
God.
Yep.
Yeah, stumps. Nothing. Yeah, nothing really. This is where Nikki Haley did the weird thing about my husband deployed recently, and now I'm gonna save America while he's off. And she never even says where he deployed to. I'm like, I thought we were out of all the.
Yeah. Where did he deploy to?
Yeah, did he deploy to the strip club down the street or something? Hey, baby, we aren't in a war anymore.
Maybe
Anyway,
you're not, but I am. Fortunate
so
Son plays in the background.
my last note, because obviously they go in order, and DeSantis
Yep.
is leading in the polls, so he's last. My last note is DeSantis, Robot Ron, because his closing statement just read like an animatronic sculpture from Disneyland.
Yeah, the Hall of Presidents.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was bad news. All right, so that's basically the recap on and my. Do you have any closing thoughts before we wrap up the stream? I guess we got to read some super chats, but
Zero Fucks sent a funny meme. It's Robot Ron 2024 vending machine in chief.
oh yeah, that's good.
Closing thoughts. I think Vivek will get the biggest bump from this. Despite the fact that he got completely shivved in the middle of the debate, I think his really strong performance in the beginning will get him a big boost from this. I think the debate helped him overall strongly, despite his missteps. I think Pence did really well, but I'm not sure he will get a big boost from this because he's. I guess we'll see. You know who is controlling the Republican Party now? Is it the internet Republicans or is it the touch grass normies?
I think it's a touch grass normies.
I'm not sure. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
it'll be interesting to see. So just to lay out right now or before the debate, obviously, if they're polling now, the polling might be different. But the polling order is DeSantis, then Ramaswamy, then Pence, then Haley, then Scott, then Christie, then Burgum, then Hutchinson. So those might change. You think?
I think that exact pattern is going to still exist.
Okay, you don't think anyone's moving anywhere,
Well, I think Swami's going to move up closer to DeSantis,
right?
but I don't think the order is going to change.
Okay,
I
cool.
wouldn't think so.
We'll
I mean,
see
I
what
think the other
happens.
two people drop into obscurity, but
We'll see what happens. I think this was a 10 times more fun debate than the normal Democratic debates. Like I said, just I think
mm-hmm.
it's the Republicans seem to be more rambunctious, more eager to make each other look like shit, which is always more fun. So
Mm-hmm.
overall, a fun debate.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, the first part of it interesting to watch, fun. I think my telling of the debate was more fun than the debate itself.
Of course, like Sitch and Adam always have a good time. Like, look, just I dream of a day
Mm-hmm.
when I can feed our Sitch and Adam live stream
Yeah.
into an AI algorithm and say, make this debate for us. I want to see Pence slap Nikki Haley with the
With
Bible,
a fucking
and I
Bible.
want to see it say Bible across her forehead. I want to see Pence dust off the Bible and kiss it. Because that's going to be a lot of
Mm-hmm.
fun.
Yes, yes.
Someday.
Someday.
Until then,
Someday.
you got to listen to Sitch and Adam
That's right.
to get that Get all that amazing imagery.
Twitter sucks for $20 says Haley is supposed to be a conservative while proposing a compromise at a nationwide 15 weeks ban. Absolutely not. The position that differentiates actual conservatives is a complete ban on abortion. Her percentage will drop. I don't know. We'll see. I am curious because, again, as I said, there's been sort of like the conflict of states' rights on the issue. So, but you could be right. You could be right.
I do think that the Democrats having this weird women's rights position does open up an opportunity for Republicans to make this argument without looking like total hypocrites on the states'
Mm-hmm.
rights thing.
I think
Because
that's
you're
a great point.
saving babies.
I think that's a great point, and you could be right. And that's literally what Pence and Tim Scott did was because they said the blue states are acting crazy. And so
Yeah.
they'll use that as a good excuse to push federal something. I don't think I I think they have to be careful though. I think that's why even Pence was going with he said 15-week ban, even though he hinted at something stronger. I think if they go too strong against if I think if the Republican candidate comes out and says that he wants a full pro-life nationwide ban, I think that's too strong a position. I think that
Just
will hurt.
that's the death of the Republican Party.
Yeah, I think that's not a good move politically.
70% of Americans don't want that. I
Right.
don't know how you can. Granted, I think there's probably 30% of people who are pro-life that think life begins at conception and want a complete ban on all abortion.
Yeah, I think the 15-week ban is a smart political move for the Republicans to push for on a
Yeah,
national level.
they
So,
said that's when they feel pain. Is the pain and consciousness thing kind of at the same point?
or was it 12 weeks? I don't know, 15, 12 weeks, whatever the number was, but
Well, he never makes it clear. I think it's Pence
right.
that says when a fetus can feel pain 15
Right.
weeks.
That was the yeah.
Right.
Twitter Sex for $20 says if you do not want a complete abortion ban, you aren't conservative. You can be a neocon and say, oh, 6-week bans or oh, 15-week ban, but you absolutely cannot claim to be a conservative. It is the policy position. Well, I guess, I mean, if you mean conservative, like, I mean, I guess it depends how you define conservative. Obviously, the more conservative position is the completely pro life position. I don't think a nationwide ban on abortion is just a politically feasible position for the Republican Party at the moment. So I would be pretty shocked if any of them openly supported that. I don't think they will because I would imagine Pence would be the most pro life, and even he was not willing to publicly say that. So,
Yeah, he brought a Bible to the debate.
and he brought a Bible debate. That's true. JMac, our surrogate father, thanks so much, Daddy
Yeah,
JMac,
wow.
with the 50 gifted memberships. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
Okay, let me start over from the beginning and read all the super
In the
chats.
beginning,
In the
there was
beginning,
a PC
there
gift.
was Mike Pence and a Bible. And he said, he looked at Adam and even he said, put some damn underwear on. Okay, PC, thanks so much, PC, for the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, PC.
Yeah, thanks.
John Benor for $2 says, hi, Adam.
Hi. I like that meme's catching on. It's great.
There you go. Wow, the Wooster. I don't even know if I could say this. The Wooster for $2 using a slur for Indian people. Okay.
Is that a slur?
Is it a slur?
I don't know.
Maybe I'm wrong.
We'll just skip it. Nikki Haley committed violence on Vivek.
Punjabi is the Indian Aryan language natively spoken by the Punjabi people. Okay. Oh, look at this. I got the thing. Search with AI power boost from Google. Try it now.
Oh, it
Ooh, I'm
came back
excited.
to ask you a question.
Yes. I agree. I mean, it's for a question I don't need them to search for.
Admiral Nelson for 5 months says,
Wait.
just tell me who I should vote
Wait.
for.
The Wooster said Nikki Haley committed violence on Vivek. Did you read that?
I did, yeah.
Oh, I got distracted by the AI.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was
Okay.
reading the things. Admiral Nelson, just tell me who I should vote for. Sitch.
I don't fucking know.
Yeah. That's
I mean,
something you have
want
to.
my answer? You're not gonna like it. None of these fucking jokers. Well,
Sitch is voting for Trump. Sitch is
there
actually
you go.
a
Listen,
secret
listen
a
as the official,
secret Trump supporter.
as the official secret Trump supporter. Obviously, that has to be my position, right? So there you go.
There's a narrative going around,
Hmm.
guys, that Sitch is a secret Trump supporter,
Yeah, it's true.
which
That's
I
the
find to
I
be
heard.
one of the most hilarious things I've ever heard before. As there's one moment I
Yeah.
remember. Look, this I think there's two moments. There's one Sitch debated for like 5 or 6 hours every single fan in our community that was against Trump impeachment, the first Trump impeachment.
Hmm.
Debated like 20 people back to back. I learned a lot about Trump impeachment from that conversation because I was just kind of there moderating. There's that moment which makes me think, man, Sitch really doesn't like Trump. And then there's one moment,
Yeah.
God, I don't know if anyone can find the stream, but there was one moment, and I don't know what we were talking about. I don't even
Uh-oh.
think it was
Now trying to get me
related.
in trouble.
Trump came up, and
Yeah.
Sitch just went off, man.
Wow. Why are you trying to get me in so much
He
trouble? Stop trying to get me in trouble, okay?
Why?
Why are you
Look,
trying
it's
to?
look.
He's trying to pull people away from S class.
This is just honest, man.
Okay.
And he just was like, Trump, motherfucking this lie and that lie, and
I don't remember this.
I I remember it to this day because I
Okay.
just I just I did the Homer Simpson thing. I just kind of slowly backed up and
Right.
was like, just let him burn it. Just let it burn out.
I think someone, I was arguing with someone in chat who was defending, um,
Or they might have, I don't know. Yeah. It seemed like a
it,
chat argument.
the two things that trigger me with the Trump was
Mm-hmm.
people, defending the trying to coerce Ukraine into investigating Burisma
Mm-hmm.
to go after Biden. That or it wasn't a big deal that Trump literally tried to tell the states to throw out the votes to vote for him. So it's probably one of those issues.
Look,
So I was probably arguing with someone about that, got triggered.
if someone if someone could find it, I mean, I it would be interesting because obviously your memory is super fallible. It's funny when
Of
people
course.
talk about eyewitness testimony. Obviously, I was there. I witnessed this. It made an impression on me. I remember it to this day. But I've rerun the memory so many times that I probably am changing it as I rerun it. But I think it was something about voting, and
Voting.
somebody was trying to say, if you were a real centrist, you would at least consider voting for Trump. And you were like,
Hmm.
fuck that. I'm not voting for Trump. Fucking fuck you. The
Okay.
fucking shit. Like,
Uh-huh.
and it was just raining, just
Oh,
anti.
I do. Now that you say that, I kind of vaguely remember this.
You were raining anti-Trump thunder and lightning,
Okay.
and I just kind of I let it. I cataloged it. I was like, wow, he really hates Trump. Those were the two moments that I consciously said to myself, wow, Sitch really does not like
Listen,
Trump.
I don't know why you're saying this. I'm a secret Trump supporter.
I
I will
know.
be supporting Trump in the upcoming
Well, no,
election.
this is exactly why I'm saying it, is because when the secret Trump narrative goes around,
Right.
these are the two moments that immediately pop into my brain.
Right.
And I think, yeah, you guys are full of shit, man.
Yep.
So, but no one's ever going to find that. They're going to find some place where you actually gave Trump the benefit of the doubt because what he did was like the media was lying about him or
I know.
whatever.
I said the fine people thing was a hoax. So,
Yeah,
it's
exactly. They're
fine.
going to look to those kinds
Right.
of. You can't prove a negative. You can't prove that you're not a secret Trump supporter.
True.
That's
True.
like impossible. So,
Well, I did not ever, here's the compelling evidence. Okay.
mhm.
I did defend Trump for the fine people thing, but I didn't defend him for the bleach comment. Okay.
You're
There
right.
you go.
I did. Look, it's so obvious you meant light.
You did it first. I'm pretty sure. Didn't you retract that after when he was directly asked about that? He said he was joking.
No, in the debate, he said,
Yeah.
I was being sarcastic. And that's when I said,
Okay.
he's such a liar. He's
Yes.
such a liar.
That's the worst answer ever.
I know. Anyway,
I'm telling you, he was not talking about the light, but whatever.
Casey
Casey Anderson for $5. Thank you, Casey. Says if Trump is nominated, I blame them if Biden wins. He cannot lead in a crisis, and I would trust more. I trust most other Republican candidates over him. I mean, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Uh, if you said, okay, Sitch, you have to choose one of these people to be president. Let me think. Who would you choose, Adam? If you had to choose one of these people to be president, who would you choose?
Hmm. Let me think. Mike Pence is crazy. um.
I like his peace through strength, but he's kind of crazy.
Well, I think I'm probably going with Robot Ron.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, I like robots.
Hmm. I think I would
I mean,
go.
look, he
Yeah.
seems like the safe bet to be honest with you.
Right.
So
How about he? I don't know. He just says some crazy shit. Does some crazy shit. But
I do like Pence's strength through peace, but he's going to
right.
throw like a complete abortion ban on you somewhere.
Right. Exactly. I think I would go with Nikki Haley
Oh,
if I
really?
had to. Yeah. She seemed the most
Going
moderate
the
in the
girl boss.
conversation.
You're maybe Meatball Ron, because Meatball Ron did do a 6 month a ban in
6 week.
6 week ban
Well, she
in
did too.
Florida. Oh, she did. Oh,
I
everyone's
think.
got the 6 week ban
Yeah.
on the table. Wow.
But she was the only one kind of trying to appeal to some kind of
Hmm.
moderateness. So I do appreciate that, even though I know it's not going to play well with Republican voters.
What's Fatso's position on the abortion stuff?
Yeah, it's weird because I mean, I like Chris Christie's kind of trying to come off as moderate, but I don't trust him
Hmm.
because of all the other shit that he's done. So,
Right. Yeah.
Christian Baller for $5 says, Adam, I miss your beautiful eyes.
He wanted me to take my sunglasses off.
Oh, now you have the laser eyes.
I know. I took them off for a minute. Here, I'll do the. Here we
Look at
go.
this, Sammy G. Sammy G for $5. S-class Brigadier General of Art and Degeneracy. Okay.
Of art and
He
degeneracy.
says, the only person I'm rooting for in this election is Adam winning his bet against Sitch.
Nice.
Wow, my
Sounds like
own Brigadier
someone's
General.
sounds like some's A team friendly here. You got
Wow,
a
look at this.
Pergosian here. This is Sammy the chef right here.
Sammy
Chef's
Prigozhin.
kiss.
That's what the
Yeah.
G in Sammy G stands for. It stands for Prigozhin.
This is Sitch's chef here. Watch
Wow, I gotta
out.
be
Watch
careful. I
out,
gotta watch out.
Sammy.
I need a food taster.
Don't Sammy needs to watch out. Pergosian
Daily,
didn't came to an untimely end.
well, have you actually heard? So there's a new theory. Well, there's okay. So there's like three theories. The theory, well, okay, there's four theories. The first
Oh my
theory is
god.
okay. The first theory is it's completely accident. He just died by accident. No one believes that. Okay,
They
right?
had video of the plane falling out of the sky. I mean, it's
I
pretty
know. I saw.
weird.
Yeah, no one believes that it was just an accident. Right? Okay, that's the theory one. Number one. Theory number two. He, Putin shot a missile at him to kill him.
Right.
Right? That's probably the most common theory. Theory three. Bogosian was already dead, and everyone on the plane was already dead, and they just put a bunch of dead bodies on the plane, and they just shot a missile, or they just had the plane crash full of
Hmm.
dead bodies. Right.
Okay.
Theory four. Prigozhin faked his own death to escape. He set it up. He set up the plane crash.
Okay.
What
And
do
he
you think the
put
odds of
his
that
teeth
are?
in someone else's mouth or something.
Well, I mean, have they found the body?
I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see. Because obviously, they find the body, that won't be true, right?
Right. Yeah.
So,
Do they even have dental records in Soviet Russia?
well, it's not Soviet Russia,
In Russia,
but
Russia?
in Russia, yeah. I think most likely, I don't think it's the case. I think three is probably the most likely situation that he's already dead, and everyone on the plane was probably already dead, and they just a
I
bunch of
mean,
bodies
why
up there
waste a perfectly good plane? Why not just bury him in cement?
because they want to be like a big spectacle.
Oh, okay.
Like everyone knows he killed them. What did he? Like he wants to like that thin veneer of plausible deniability.
I just imagine them setting up a jet that doesn't work. It doesn't even have engines. like in a big slingshot, like flinging it out of Moscow. Oh, look,
The plane's
a
crashing.
plane is crashing.
I could have foreseen this. That'd actually be pretty funny.
Look, a plane with no engines, totally stripped down.
How did this happen? I can't believe this.
That would add some spectacle to it, wouldn't it?
That's true. That's true.
Daily dose for $2. Wait, what's a $500 bet situation? S class is Yee.
Yep. So your good pal Sitch here,
Right. Made
very, very
the
stupid.
stupidest decision of his entire life.
Yes, very stupid decision to bet Adam $500 that Donald Trump would not make it to the first primary.
Well, you
Would drop out.
Look,
Would willingly drop out. Yes.
The bet was Sitch said he wasn't even running for president.
No. I said he was running for president, but not sincerely, and that
The
he would
note-
drop out before the first primary.
The note that I have written on my desk from when we first made this bet,
Mm-hmm.
$500. Trump runs for president. That's literally what.
My position was always, and anyone can go back, my position was always he was going to make it look like he was running for president, but I thought he would drop out before the first primary. That it wasn't a sincere run, but that he was always going to act like he was running for president. That was always my position.
Okay.
So, but it was a dumb bet because I do think he's sincerely running for
He
president.
is now.
Yeah. And also, I kind of fucked myself because I gave Adam the out of saying, well, if he gets arrested, I don't win. The bet is a push and it just gets nullified.
Right.
I should have said, no, if he gets arrested, I win the bet.
Well, I mean, it's a push, so.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but the bet should have been if he gets arrested, I just win.
He's running for president though. Like that's
Okay.
why
Okay.
the bet was that he was going to run
I
for
know.
president. You
I'm
said
aware. I'm not changing. I'm just saying I should have.
You said
aware.
You said he's faking it and he would drop
Yes.
out before
Right.
the first
I know.
primary.
What a dumb fucking thing.
But if
I
he
said.
gets taken out of if he
That's
gets
different.
if
I
he
know. The
can't,
intention
it's
is different,
completely
right?
different. Yeah.
I understand. Yeah.
That's why
I
it's a
understand.
push. I think it's
know.
fair.
It is fair.
Yeah.
But I should have been unfair.
No, you should always be
I need
fair.
I need all the help I can with this stupid bet.
Look, you wouldn't have to pay $500, so
Okay.
chances are much higher that you are actually going to have to pay me $500.
True.
J-Mac was the one that we were going to bet $100, but J-Mac
Yeah.
was like $100. What's the point of even betting?
I know he called me a pussy, and I fell for the peer pressure.
Nice.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you, J-Mac.
No, thank you, Jimmy. Solid for $2 says Charles III of his name 2024. There you go.
Right.
Steve Preston for $10 says Sitch. You're totally wrong about Matt Walsh being a white supremacist. Well, I didn't say he was a white supremacist. I said he was pushing for ethno-nationalism, but I understand that. I'm quibbling by making that distinction. There's a difference between not wanting to be a minority in my own country and hating non-white people. I'm still S-class though. Well, thank you, Steve. So I think you could make that argument. I think Matt could make that argument that he doesn't want to be a minority. Well, doesn't want to be a minority in his country or your country or however you phrase it. The phrasing is already kind of problematic on its face. But the argument that he was making specifically about how there's no difference between race and culture, to me, says that he believes in some element of race realism. So that's why I think he is, even if he's not going to advocate for it, he does think that there is some sort of behavioral something that is inherent in people's race from that comment. That's how I interpret that comment. So,
man, I hate that.
Yeah, not fun. But thank you for remaining S-class.
Yes, yeah.
Secta Magnus Soltis for $10. Thank you so much for the first super chat.
Yeah.
Thank you. Said, started law school. Well, congratulations. I have class tomorrow, so I must watch later. Today, my professor was advocating for children's suffrage to expand direct democracy. Adam still can hope. Look at that. S-class is best class. Well, thank
Did you talk to your professor about custodial voting? You should bring that up in
There you
class.
go.
Tell
There you
him
go.
tell him a friend told you that fancy name too.
They're not gonna be on board with that. I can
Custodial voting?
predict. Yeah.
Well, I'd be curious what the professor thought because
Okay.
I mean it would determine whether or not they were a Democrat or a Republican, right?
Oh, you know what we didn't talk about?
What?
So Trump wasn't there. Is this gonna hurt Trump that he's not gonna show up to any of these debates?
No, I don't think it hurts him at
No.
all. Yeah. Everyone's running for vice
For
president.
VP?
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, I don't think you I think you're right. I don't think it's
It's
gonna
better off
matter.
him not showing up, honestly.
Hmm.
He's has an air of I'm above the fray, and actually going to the debate would damage that.
Yeah, I think you're correct. I think the only way that he would be harmed is if Vivek could have maintained his out of the gate energy and momentum and just been on fire the whole debate, then I think Trump would be in trouble. But I don't. Vivek obviously didn't maintain that. He got beat up and shanked a bunch of times. So, and if that, I'm assuming that will continue throughout all these debates. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think it was a better move for Trump not to show up. Jay
That's
Bowman
why
for
we didn't
10.
talk about it. It's like obvious.
Yeah, sure. Jay Bowman for $10 says, "Happy election stream. A team wins."
Woo!
There you go.
A team. Come on, give me a good one.
Err, A team. Arr, give us your booty. Steve Preston. A woo woo. A team. A woo woo.
I like that one. That was
Steve
good.
Preston.
Ara,
There you go.
ara.
That's the A for A team stands for R.
Oh yeah. Ara
Steve.
team. Ara. Ara team.
Jesus. Steve Preston for $2 says the biggest Vivek fail, global warming, a hoax. What? Yeah, I mean I mean a lot of people on the right believe that. He's definitely channeling right wing internet energy, going full on global warming hoax.
I
So
had the exact same reaction though, Steve. I did. I
yeah.
was like, what the fuck? Like even most Republicans accept that global warming is real and man made and
Or at
but
least man
they
accelerating. I don't know if I'd say man made, but
right, but they they've read Born Lomberg, I think it is, and
yeah.
they just they have a different solution set for climate change. And they think obviously the Democrats are
I don't know if I
kind of
agree.
alarmists over it.
I think there is a faction of right and Republicans who think climate change is real, but they think the left is drastically over exaggerating it or hyperbolizing
Yeah,
it.
that's what I'm saying.
And they think the left solutions suck. But I think there's still a huge amount of people on the right that just think the whole thing is just fake.
Okay, but
So,
I don't think those people are going to vote for a Republican no matter what. So,
well, yeah, but are they going to vote for Vivek versus someone else, right? So that's, I
well, I
mean, that's
guess
who
you're
he's trying to
right. I
appeal
guess you're
to.
right.
So,
Yeah. He's saying, "Give me the crazes."
yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to help because I
It's
don't
not
even
going to
know if
help in the general.
was Trump. I know he kind of blamed. He said it was kind of like China, but I don't know if did he ever say that like climate change was just a full on hoax that strongly. I don't remember.
Trump? No.
Yeah, I don't
I don't
remember what
think
his
so.
position was.
That the climate change if one of the well, I guess this would this could only be in an ad if one of them become the nominee, right? Because I just feel like the Democrats are they're gonna seize on that climate change
Well, if he's the
section and
VP, right, or something,
sure.
which I don't think he will be, but
The Democrats are going to be running ads like, look, the Republicans all don't even believe climate change is real. Look at these dumbass Republicans.
Mhm.
They open themselves up for that in that section.
Sure. But I mean, I don't think Vivek has a chance unless Trump gets convicted or something.
But the fact that they all dodged, that's the thing. It's not just Vivek, it's all of
Right.
them. Yeah.
I know. According to the internet, Trump did say climate change was a hoax at some point. So
Oh, really? So that's why
yeah,
Vivek said it.
Right.
He's like, Daddy Trump told me to say this.
True. Clown Moosey Bean for 7 months says A team is Bay team. Look at that.
Nice. Welcome to the A Team, Brigadier General. Clowny. Moose Bean.
Dusty Settle for $10 says, I'm a vote red till I'm dead guy, but Vivek saying 18-year-olds need to test to be citizens ain't cool. You're born a citizen regardless of IQ.
Thank you, Dusty. Thank you. I do hope
Well,
you're A Team
to
with
be
that
clear, I don't know if
super
he said
chat.
that they have to take a test to be citizens or if they had to, was it a test to vote? I don't think did he say do you have a test to be citizens? Or was it just a vote? Or was it just that he thought they should have the test just to take the test? I don't remember exactly what the point of the test was. Do you remember?
Making people take a test for anything is not cool, man.
I
This
mean,
is
listen,
America.
I agree it's a bad policy. Obviously, if you have to make Americans take a test to be citizens, that's fucking insane. If
Look,
that
and
was the position.
any old retard who's 18 years old gets to vote. I don't care. Look,
Hmm.
fuck these elitists. You're literally advocating for. It's dumb. Don't get me
Okay, let me
started on the
ask.
voting thing.
I asked the Google AI because the regular Google sucked. Said Vivek Ramaswamy recently said all U.S. high schoolers should be required to pass the same civics tests immigrants must pass to become U.S. citizens. Yeah, but does that mean that they have to do it to become citizens, or what is the fuck? What like or what? What happens if they fail the test?
Twitter sucks for $10 says I would take Mommy Bobert over Haley, over Nikki Haley. Mommy Bobert is, I mean, what what do you mean by take? Twitter sucks. Are
I
we
mean,
talking about
I would finger take her too, in a sense, if that's what you mean.
as a
Um,
are we talking like to out on a date? Or are we talking to
yes,
the as the president of the
I would
United
not take her
States?
as a president, but I would take her out on a date. Mhm.
Twitter sucks for $5 says it is absolutely based of Fox News to stream and your dollar ain't worth shit on live TV. Lol. Is it?
I don't get it.
Well, I mean, they did play the part of the song in the debate.
Oh, I didn't even think about that because
Yeah.
I watched it on the internet. I'm so used to like nothing being censored. I didn't even, you're right. I didn't even think about that. They had Selling Curse on Fox News. Well, it's Fox News. They're allowed to curse. It's cable.
Oh, I
But
guess you're right.
yeah, I didn't even notice that. That's funny. There you go.
Hobo-tastic for $10 says, I know you guys hate Vivek's Ukraine policy, but what do you think about the rest of his foreign policy and neocon foreign policy in general?
What was his other? Well, I don't. In this debate, they just talked about Ukraine. Did he even bring up any other foreign policy in this debate?
Well, I think Vivek is isolationist, basically. I think the meaning of the super chat is: are you for isolationism or foreign adventures?
Well, no. So no. Hobotasic said, "What do you think about the rest of his four? Oh, you're right. You're right. I misunderstood it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, he is completely isolationist. I don't. I've been pretty vocally against isolationist foreign policy forever.
right.
Um, I mean, I think you can strike a balance, but to me, neocon means you have to be super interventionalist, right? Like that's like the exact opposite of an isolationist. I think, hearkening to Dev, I think there's a golden mean between neocon and just we're gonna build up a wall like a border and hide in our cave forever. Um, and I said this a million times, if you just hide behind your walls in the cave, you create the power vacuum. If the American monster hides in its American monster cave, then the Chinese monster is just going to start rampaging and taking over shit, and we don't want that. You
Yeah,
know,
I'm like, obviously the golden mean. I completely agree with that. It's I said this before. I differentiate Ukraine from Iraq in that you got to look where opportunities present themselves. If you're a completely hands off, you don't want to have anything to do with any other countries. I mean, I can respect that, but I do think there is this natural process where people don't like to live under authoritarian dictatorial regimes. And a lot of times, especially in the modern era where technology and all the weapons of war are obviously in the hands of these ruthless dictators, sometimes if the people want a more fair and just society, they're going to need some help. And if America can be the cavalry when the people want and desire a more free and open society, I think it's cool if we are willing to do that. I Iraq was a huge mistake because the people weren't asking for any help. Like they weren't pushing for a free and open society. We were just kind of like, we're going to give this to you. We're going to kind of force this on you. And that doesn't work. That's not the way to do it. So Ukraine, I feel like they were kind of pushing in that direction. And so it's a completely different cost benefit analysis. So,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
go ahead.
yeah. I'll just say like, Iraq you could look at as like a civil war to some extent. We come in and we
But we
basically do it.
created the Civil
Yeah,
War.
that's what I'm saying. Like it's kind of like Russia, Iraq is like Russia invading Ukraine, only we're obviously on the right side of everything. So we came in, knocked off the leader, wanted to knock off the leader, and then kind of do what we wanted, and then we didn't let the Ba'ath Party, right, or whoever it was, I forget whatever the Saddam's party, we didn't let them kind of maintain some power. So they basically took all their weapons, hid in the hills, and that was the Iraq War forever because of kind
But the
of
the
Bush's
Iraqi
incompetence. But I'm saying it's essentially it's a civil war. Ukraine is not a civil war. It is a foreign country invading Ukraine and trying to take it over. So I don't think it's really comparable to think about these two things as the same from an ideological or philosophical perspective. And Ukraine
the
definitely wants our help.
in Ukraine though, the Ukrainian people were pushing more towards a free and open
Yeah, of
Western
course,
style
obviously,
democracy,
right?
free economy
Yes,
situation.
that's what started this
That
all. Yeah,
wasn't going on in Iraq
no,
at
obviously
all.
not.
Yeah.
No, 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 no,
So
no.
what I am saying is
I agree.
if the people are pushing towards that, you're more likely to get buy-in from the
Of course.
population if you
Well,
give them a
there.
little help.
Well, like,
And
yeah, of course, because this is not a civil war like Iraq. So we have 100. Like Ukraine
right.
has lots of buy-in. The fucking Ukrainians are fighting tooth and nail. So
Yes. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Um, where was I? Oh, Brian Townsend for $10 says no one went after DeSantis because of his pure, unfiltered Chad energy. Sure, he bent them all over and made them scream his name. DeSantis is going to be all our daddies, high rags and S class. It's best class.
I
Well, there
like
you
your
go.
moxie, um,
That's true.
Townsend.
Brian Townsend for another $5 says Ron DeSantis and Brett Cooper 2024. Let's go, baby. Also, hi, Adam. I can't wait to read the comic at work while listening to the show. Wow, look at
Nice.
that. True
I like
fan.
a I like a guy who
Yes.
reads for leisure at work.
Elusive Mayfly for $10 says, y'all get some clips of the debate, kill the sound, have Sitch narrate what the candidates are actually saying. His translations are great. Well, thank you.
Yeah, glad you like them.
That would be pretty funny.
This was a lot of fun.
Yes.
10 times more fun than the actual debate. Caffeinated
Um,
Tweaker for 2 Canadian says, I need to get back to editing. Have fun, guys.
there you go.
Cool.
There's some good clips in his CT.
I
Don't you
mean, they
agree?
would have to be out tomorrow because it's going to be old news
Oh,
if
you're
it's
right.
not
So
out
I guess it's not
tomorrow.
going to
Yeah.
happen. Yeah. The my recollection of Pence slapping people across the face with the Bible and
I'm not
stuff.
even, I don't, if you did a clip of that, I don't even know that it would get a lot of views. People would be kind of confused by it. They'd be like,
Okay,
what
I
is
guess you're right.
this?
Then I guess there wasn't any good clips.
I mean, it is fun. I had a lot of fun.
Hmm.
We got
Okay,
over 1,000 live viewers,
I know.
which I don't think we did on our last one that we did like this.
Okay.
So, but I mean, we're going to continue to do election coverage, right? I mean, I'm on the edge of my seat for this election. This
True.
election is kind of the most insane election ever. How is it not?
Hmm.
The front runner in the Republican primary is both an ex-president and potentially an ex-con.
Kyle Vernon, that's true. Kyle Vernon for $5 says, "Did you guys think Vivek is a genuine person, or do you think he's just telling people what they want to hear? In my opinion, he's just repeating talking points." Um, yeah, that I didn't really have that impression until tonight, but my impression is I think he is just saying what people want to hear, what he thinks people want to hear.
My new nickname
That's my
is
impression.
for fake.
Oh, instead of Vivek, Vivek.
I
Yeah,
think
I mean, yeah, it's
I think
interesting.
it is Vake. I think it's Vivek. So for fake is
The
perfect.
fake, the fake,
For fake.
for fake. There you go. For fake,
Yeah.
for fake
Ramaswampy.
Ramaswampy. There you go. I like it.
I guess Rama Slimy is better if he's a fake. For
Yeah,
fake Rama Slimy. But it's
Swampy
harder to
just
say.
sounds better. Yeah.
It does, yeah. But everyone points out, what? He's the outsider. He's not a. I mean, isn't there a swamp in Silicon Valley?
Yeah, but it just sounds funny. Just go with
He's
it. Don't
he's
ask
from
questions.
the he's from the venture capitalist swamp.
Mm-hmm. Twitter
Kyle
sucks for
Vernon. Oh,
$5. I'm actually very disappointed in Vivek. Him basically saying that we should give Ukraine to Russia and give Taiwan to China is a complete letdown. I agree.
I agree
I
wholeheartedly.
I agree with
We
that.
covered Vivek when he talked to David Pakman, and I mean, I liked what he had to say about identity. I just ever since then he hasn't said anything good.
I know. Well, he said some good things. I'm disappointed because it seemed like he was in that conversation with Pac-Man. Other places I'd seen him, he seemed like he really did want to sort of unite America under some kind of, banner of American identity. And it
Right.
just, which he still said, but his policy
Unfortunately, the
prescriptions are like really wacky, in my opinion. So,
unfortunately the identity he wants to unite people under is end the Fed and raise the voting age.
yeah. So, not a fan. Caleb the Cynic for 3 months says, "So, who are you guys giving your awoos to for this debate? Are you going to stand for Vivek? Has Pence or Haley gained ground?" I mean, as I said, I guess if I have to choose, I would have chose Haley from this,
Mm-hmm.
from all this.
Typical
Yeah,
goes for the woman with the woo woo.
that's true. I mean, listen, if you have to give an awoo to someone, are you going to give it to a woman?
Right.
Who else are you going to give it to?
Mommy Bobert.
You're going to give, well, she wasn't there.
She was there in spirit.
Okay, you're going to give your woo to Scott, to Sleepy Tim?
Sleepy Tim Scott gets no one's a woo woo.
Okay.
Not even Mrs. Scott.
Okay. Ouch.
You
Harsh.
know, I don't think Tim Scott is married, which is everyone was saying is a dig on him.
Because he's too boring.
Maybe.
Let's
Maybe there's
see.
another reason.
Because he's gay? No, he's married.
Is he really?
Well, I don't know. Let's see. Is
I
Senator Tim
think, no,
Scott married?
I don't
He's
think
not
he's,
married.
yeah.
Oh, has he ever been married? Has Tim Scott ever been married?
Twitter sucks for $2 says, I predict Haley dropping out. Wow. I guess we'll see if that's I really like predictions, so we'll hold you to that one.
Do you think you think she's gonna drop out from just this debate? I mean, they still got a long. I mean, obviously they're gonna drop out because she has no fucking chance of winning. But I don't think she's gonna drop out like soon.
Twitter sucks for $5.
Wait, wait,
Oh,
wait, 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 wait. According to The Sun, the very reputable publication, says according to the Daily Mail, Tim Scott previously campaigned as a proud 30-year-old virgin
no way.
and promoted his devout Christian faith as a selling point.
No way.
Isn't that
I'm
hilarious?
so glad you looked that up.
Right. It's amazing. Though it says
Oh,
this changed when he was 45 years old after he won a seat in the U.S. House Rep.
he got laid?
He reportedly has a serious girlfriend.
Oh, wow.
Who's Tim Scott's serious girlfriend?
But I mean, look, he's still a virgin, right? Because he's not married.
That's a good question. It's a good
What
question.
changed? He got, look, he held hands or something? Oh, no.
I don't know. It's a good question.
Oh, that's so bizarre. Anyway, Twitter sucks for $5. Oh, I don't expect an abortion ban will happen, but that's a policy that differentiates conservatives from your average moderate Republican.
Hmm.
Huh.
I mean, maybe.
Is it? I wonder if that's a essential part of conservatism.
I mean, it is now. I don't know if like it has to be, right?
Right. Yeah. Because the
But I mean, it
tradition can
definitely is.
change. Twitter sucks for $2. Just tell me who I should vote for. Trump 2024. I guess you're telling us who you're going to vote for.
Right.
Twitter sucks for $2. Adam, where's the wife ooh reaction video,
Oh
huh?
yeah, what happened?
I forgot.
You forgot,
I
didn't you?
didn't say the
Oh,
ooh.
you fucking asshole. Listen,
Look,
so one of you guys tweet me or Adam
I'll try
tomorrow.
to
Be
remember
both of
tonight.
us, and I'll DM Adam, okay?
Look, my wife, if we ever wrap up this live stream, I
Right.
might be able to try it out. Twitter sucks for $2. I totally called Sitch picking Haley. Oh,
Look at that. Well, obviously she was
on
the
the
most moderate
woo.
one. Look at this weird. Okay, I found this
Sitch,
weird article.
you're a mod. Why aren't you a conservative? You're so moderate. I don't get it.
It's a weird article. It says for Senator Tim Scott and Chief of Staff Jennifer DeCasper, a close bond and divine partnership.
Oh no.
And she's pretty young and cute.
Oh, is she?
So, well, cute for the world of politics. Um,
Oh my God. You're such a troll.
I know. So she said, so they said, she said, if you ask the senator how we ended up together, he will tell you it was divine. Neither of us knew anything about the other. I had a terrible interview. I knew nothing about the South. I should not have been hired, and yet I was still hired. This is not
Oh
looking good.
wait. No way.
This is not
Okay.
looking good.
So I've read Tim Scott's book
Yeah,
because of course I have, right?
of course you have. Yeah. Did he
In
talk
the
about this?
Yeah, he talks about a staffer that he hired.
Yeah.
But in the book, he doesn't frame the staffer as his girlfriend.
No, no, no. This is not his girlfriend.
She just said he hired her. Look,
I.
this is exactly the story that he tells in the book about the staffer.
Oh, okay. Tell me the story.
What did you just say about the staffer? About the woman?
No, when she says when you asked her how we ended up together, I think she doesn't mean together in a relationship. She means together like working together.
Oh, okay.
This isn't. I don't think this is his girlfriend. But what I'm
Okay. So
suggesting is
this
that
is a staffer.
this is what I'm
Gotcha.
suggesting. I'm suggesting one of two things. Either one, he is 100% fucking the staffer,
Hmm.
or he's gay.
Okay.
Because I don't understand how you describe your relationship this way. He also said it was a Scott regarding to this said it was a God thing. Honestly, I knew the Lord had a plan. Look, we're like talking about like hiring this lady. I mean, that's
Well,
weird, right?
she went on the job interview and had like thought she did terrible, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I don't know why he devotes so much of the book to this staffer, but
She
evidently
said it
she's
was the
like
worst
very.
interview I've ever done in my life. I ended up crying in the interview because he touched a heartstring.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. I
I just
remember
stopped
now.
the interview completely, and he asked, "Do you want to talk about why you're crying?" And I said, "No, I just want to be done with this interview."
Yeah,
Interesting.
but that's not his girlfriend, right?
No, supposedly. They
Maybe
haven't said
though.
this.
Oh
Uh,
look. Oh, here
I
it
don't
is.
know. I'm just saying, man. This seems sus. I think they're banging. This relationship seems very unusual to me. So
Sounds like it.
that's my theory. That's my theory, and I'm sticking with it.
Oh my God. You sent me the pictures. I
What
just looked
pictures?
it up. All
Oh,
right.
you looked.
Here's Ramaswamy putting his finger up, doing the win thing. Look, he's smiling.
I don't think he's doing. I don't. Okay, I think you misinterpret. I think he's asking to speak. I don't think he's doing the win thing.
Oh no, he was doing the win thing.
Okay. I mean, that's kind of wild if he was doing the win thing because it wouldn't even make sense.
He's doing the
He's
which
doing the
way is the
win
wind
thing.
blowing.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, SP Elite for $5 says Chris Christie that bigger supports the riggers was a fudge round. Jesus Christ. Also, Vivek is right wing Obama. Also, the word nincompoop is censored. Really? That's weird. I wonder why. Yeah, I think calling him right wing Obama was a big miss, in my opinion. Um, but you already talked about why.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Anything else?
Oh, is that it?
That's
Nice.
it.
All right, this was a lot of fun. I guess I don't know when the next event is, but obviously we'll cover it. Let us know in the comments if you enjoyed this way of covering it. We kind of had to. Fox News is being completely ridiculous about streaming the debate or playing clips, or saying you can't play more than 4 minute clips. So other people might have streamed it. I didn't really check. I just figured we would just do it this way. I feel like it was a success. But let us know in the comments if you think it was a
Were
success
people
or
streaming the debate? I didn't
I
even
didn't
check.
look. I didn't look.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was better for me
Sometimes,
because I could, focus my full attention on the debate,
yes.
and I feel like this was a great success. So
Well, sometimes, I mean, people were streaming it. Maybe we could have gotten away with it. Sam Cedar fucking streamed the entire debate.
did he?
Yeah, so
Well, I'm not sure that. I feel like we had better reactions this way because I wouldn't be like streaming in the chat and all that stuff. I could just
right,
focus on the debate and then we
right.
could recap it.
Yeah.
But
No, it's fine this way. It's fine this way.
let us know in the comments what your take is. I feel like it was good.
Yeah.
Um, anything else or
Uh, see you guys all on Sunday. Don't know what we're talking about.
are we on? Is
Anyways,
there an EFAP this Saturday? I feel like
oh
maybe.
shit. I think there is.
Are we
Isn't it the
committed to that?
anniversary?
Yeah, I told Mahler I would go. I just never coordinated with you on.
Yeah.
He sent
I
fielded me
forgot to
some time,
respond to him
so
because I'm a bad friend.
that's okay.
It's okay.
But I think yes, Sitch and I will both be on EFAP.
That's right.
All
It's
right.
their big anniversary. Anyways, thank you all for coming. Thank you all for your incredibly generous donation. You who made it to the end of the stream, you are the true superheroes. You are the true fuel seekers. You are the true enlightened centrists. SP Elite for $2 says random curveball. Wagner leader got assassinated. There you go. Anyways, we'll see you all. We'll probably both be on EFAP at some point on Saturday, and then we'll see you all on Sunday.
Bye bye.
Oh,